Will certainly feel like shit. No. 1% on the phone. Check 1, 2, mic check. Check, check, check. That's not the only thing that... Good morning out there. How you all doing? I'm sorry I wasn't able to get on the show yesterday. I don't feel well. I had an endoscopy done yesterday or Monday, and I felt like shit yesterday. Yeah, I feel like shit this morning too. I feel like I've been hit by a ton of bricks. So I don't know how I'll do today. Feel like really worn out this morning in particular. Yesterday I had like sore throat and nausea and stuff. I feel overrun. I don't know if I've ever felt like this without what I think maybe sick in my entire life. Like it's just not normal for me to not bounce back this quickly. So on Mondays right now I have a lot of doctor's appointments where I have stuff going on, and some Mondays are fine, some Mondays are not. I'm not going to go too deep to it with you this morning. Just note that is going on right now for me. I've got some health concerns that I need to take care of, and do the right thing, make sure that I'm ready to rock and roll every day for the rest of my life. Okay, so there's a few things to talk about here. First off, we've had a good run, haven't we? And this morning we're weak, but we'll talk more about that this morning. There's some reasons why we're weak. We always talk about two things around here. We talk about price or time. And it can be a misnomer to think, well, if we don't get to that price, or we're either going to get to that price sooner or later, right? But there's another factor to this, which is you haven't a lot of time to get to that price, and if you do it quick, that's fine. And if you fail to do it, your time is up, right?
Bleeding edge of news for
and I think we also talked.
Sign up today and get out.
Let's go over here. Let me just turn some of this shit is just annoying as fuck. Blah 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 blah. But I think at the bottom we talked about being here, getting here to the end of the month in particular. And there's some milestones in this. The first one is that your single stock lows theoretically should be put in about halfway through April. It can take longer for the indexes to bottom. That's typical. It's usual. And that would mean that the most supportive part, or if we have two supportive times in the market for the year, this is usually one of them. The marking of one, of the beginning of support in the market between the 15th of April to the 31st, or 30th, excuse me. And that we should mark a major low right around now. In hindsight, when you look back in 6 months, that's typically what happens. Now, that doesn't mean that every April through July is fun times. It just means on average, and we can have an ugly May, June, and July, believe it or not, or partial ugliness to it. So if we're going to mark this as a low in the market, we are looking for certain signposts. And I labeled this morning's show zeros and fives for a reason. One we broke over 5 yesterday, didn't we? We broke 555.60 something, which is a 5, isn't it? We didn't sell below the 5. We sold over the 5. That's a good thing to see. Next thing would be the stock market loves time, right? It loves it. It loves like a year, 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, 1 week. It loves finite math. In a world of learned language models that are just bullshit autoregressive modeling, we already know that autoregressive modeling eventually eats itself, right? Unless you give it new information. And we also know that the stock market likes to run on zeros and fives. Zeros and fives in the stock market are not always marked by the number 0 or 5 or non-number, I guess. But for all intents and purposes, not everything in the stock market is labeled 0 and 5, yet it is a 0 and 5. And the start and end of a month, the date might not be a 0 or a 5, but it most certainly is a 0, isn't it? You're ending, or a 5 or whatever, what have you, right? You're ending the month, then you're going to start a new month. These are very important milestones, aren't they? Time-wise, they are. We know that we did not get an unwind for Q1. We are now coming into the first month of Q2, and today is that day. We also know that a few things happen on days like today. We know that we can make a few posits. One, end of month. What happens today? Hedging flows. We get hedging flows at the end of every month, not just quarter. Matter of fact, JPM rolls out smaller versions of their bearish seagull for the other months of the quarter too. And you get monthly hedging at end of month. The next thing that you can posit is that depending upon where price is in the last day of the month, you'll get more bearish or more bullish or less bearish hedging in the market. And depending upon where price is, can also trigger flows into the stock market or not trigger flows into the stock market. And it just so happens that, let's go look at the trigger screen here. It just coincidentally happens. Well, there's two points to note here. The first one would be that we talked about this being a buyable bottom. We also said that we'd break higher and look to trade 560, 562, but that once we were up here, that a lot of traders would just be getting long. Wouldn't be long down here. They would be long up here. And they'd likely be crying and painful and angry as we come into known resistance. Now, if you're not that trader, you got nothing to worry about here. Now, and furthermore, what's fascinating about the end of the month is we know that we're getting month or new month flows from the first. Let's go move this to a 1 hour. We know that they're going to park the bus, right? Not bad job parking the bus here, right? For end of month. Not bad job, right? Gonna park the bus for end of the month. I just read on Twitter people saying you're falling under a volume profile or going down to the depths of hell. Yeah, I get it. But you should note that we've got 2 days left in the week, right? Thursday's the 1st, Friday is the 2nd, and then next week we have new month flows too, right? The 5th, at least into the 5th, let's call it. 5th and 6th. Could even be into the end of the first week of the month of May. We know that we get new monthly flows in, and where price is matters. Where price is matters. We talked about this back here, didn't we? We talked about. Let's go back and look at March. We already reviewed this with you, right? I think last week we had this talk. So for some of you that listen, this will be old hat. For some of you that don't listen, this will not be old hat. So you approach up into, or we were approaching up into the end of March, and we were just before triggering at 57.50 what we wanted convincingly to trigger positive flows in April. And we got sent packing, didn't we? We actually came back up and traded all the way up here and got told no. And this was a crucial part of no unwind. We didn't break higher. We didn't come back and backtest this so that we could get some new month flows and a potential unwind for the end of Q1. And so let's look right now. We've done it. We've done invariably. We've done an inverse of this trade, haven't we? Gone higher. And now we're right at the end of month here. Do you see this? Like, do you see how we're like tempting to do this? And then we blast down over here, right? So we've got a little bit of a different example here. Rather than rejecting, this is what everybody was expecting, right? Then come up here and then sell, right? This is what March looked like. We're now doing the inverse, aren't we? Right? And the question is, are we able to catch those flows or not? Do those volumes come in and do we trade higher? And by the way, not so coincidentally, but I believe that we're fairly close to a gamma flip in here. So what do we need to know from this point forward? First off, this is the daily trigger. We've got a bunch of stuff to look at here, by the way. We've got the weekly trigger above us. Sellers are a little bit early, but we know that it's end of month. We also know that we have got new flows coming in. We're a little bit early here, but we already know not to be long as we get close either. This is also 555, right? We got 555 and the sellers come in early. I think I don't know if I put McGilligot up there, but I thought it was important to put him up because of zeros and fives. Hold on 1 second here. Let's talk about this because, or what's important about this is what is the hedging flows that come out today for end of the month, right? For next month. And then also what else is important is where is price as new flows come into the market tomorrow, Friday, and next week. Oh, 1 second here. I gotta turn that off there. Go. Am I on the right screen? I'm on the right screen. Okay. So what we need to know here is where does price wind up today and into end of day? And we want to look at two other places here. I want to show you these last two things here. Let's go and let's move this here. Hold on a second here. Why do I have lines over here too? Oh, because I already showed you guys that. Let me just get rid of all these lines. Easy peasy here. We are below, and we have sold below that 560, right? We know about this one right here. It's 560.36, big red bar, right? Monthly, you shall not pass. We also know that we're above right here, 529.30. So on a monthly basis, we're good. This is good to see. This might be the first productive month of the year. We'll find out. An important point to this is this right here. Way to look at this with me here. Way to remember this candle here. Here's the top wick. Here's the bottom wick here. This month of April. The low here was 480 and change, the bottom of the market. We also already remember this 490.34. Probably a key inflection point if we had a low for the month of May. 490.34 is possible. And then also this 529. If we held this month, this would be very bullish, wouldn't it? Next thing we're going to look at here is a weekly basis. And this gives us even more information, doesn't it? So we've got this weekly sell signal here, right, in yellow. Oh, make that yellow. Almost like they knew we were coming, right? And then up here, we've got this one here, this weekly. We'll make that one red. More you shall not pass. Starting to get some kind of a idea here of where we stand, right? Let's just absorb this right here. Got lots of like pickup over here, sent down packing, right? Told nope, we're going higher. Told nope, we're going higher. We know that this is important level here, don't we? See this right here, that's an important level. We also note that we don't want to give this monthly up right here, right? You can kind of see it. You don't want to give that up. You also know that if we do give this up, that where are we going? We're going to go party down here at least, right? Minimum. That's that 490.34. This is the 529.30. Both key inflection points. And then we're going to look at the oh, wait a minute. Let's go back to the daily basis. We're going to check something else out while we're here. Make that one green. And this one green here. This is probably our, this wasn't the CJJ, but buy the dip. It's probably it down here. So if you're looking for next week for a place to consider getting long, it's in here, right? Next, so we can get a low next week down there. That'd be nice, right? Somewhere in there. We're going to check out velocity really quick. And this is important, isn't it? What makes this important? One, daily velocity is neutral, but improving. Right? It's improving to go positive. But as we always say around here, we want to know about zeros and fives, and where we close this week is going to be important, isn't it? We want to see this week close higher, right? So that we can become positive on weekly gamma. So far, we've had a series of higher lows over the past 3 weeks. This also implies that we've had a good month. Always good to see. So weekly looks fairly good, or excuse me, daily numbers look fairly good at the moment. We got a little gap down here too, huh? So a little gap down below. So if this was, we don't want to go down to 490, kind of want to hold there, build a wick maybe on that one, 515 on a 4-hour basis. Come right in here. There's your weekly. Trying to tell you no. We have the island in the sky here on a 4-hour basis. Let's look at that really quick. Push up, push down, push up, push down, push up for the new high, push down. As long as we hold this here, this is still viable, 560, 36, and higher, or not even higher. Just this last push is still viable. All we need to do is hold this right here. Here's your island. And you're on the daily trigger. Daily trigger looks bullish, by the way, not bearish. And can we sweep lower and take all this other stuff out down here is the big question, isn't it? Probably not yet. My answer would be not yet. I would make these yellow, though. I'd make that yellow. I'd make that yellow. And I would make this green, or I'd make this yellow too. Or, and then I would show this gap down here. Just this little sneaky gap down below here. And I would write in here, close the effing gap, right? Close the gap. And this would seem to fall within probability here, right? You know that there's going to be some bears that want to trade this whole thing. Highest probability is that when we give this up, that we would clear all of this out, right? Come down here and then whoop, see daisy. This is a wick. This turns into a weekly wick, weekly candle. Hopefully we can get down to, if I had a hope, it would be that we get down to 516. Target would be 516.62. But I don't think we're done here. Not only do I not think that we're done here, I also think that we're likely still, this trade is still viable to this 62. Today, tomorrow, before we get to the week of the 1st or whatever. So if we do fail this, though, Look at this today. If price begins to reject up here today, tomorrow, we'll begin to look lower. If they can, pin us in and give us a new intraday low. So we have our low this morning. It's currently at 542.61. We'll look for a second low in case we're going to break out all of this crap here, start destroying all of these longs. But we're not there yet. One morning low does not make a crash or anything like that. And we got to look at some more stuff here too. So let's look at an hourly basis. See if we can see anything down here. Close the gap. Come on now, reset it. Reload it, reload it. It'll be just a second here. There we go. See, we can see here. There's also a 1 hour here. We do need to know that. There's a second one right here. We'll just call it that. Make that a 1 hour. That's important to know. We get another one right here too. Their ones and fours are all lining up right now. One and four. I think that's it. Sorry about my microphone there. You already know about all that stuff down there. Oh, hold on here. And then we're going to look at a 30-minute basis. Oh, I'm on the 4 hour. Hold on a second here. What did I do wrong here? I screwed this up. Get rid of that. Sorry about that. Like, why are these all matching up right now to the 4 hour? Put that one back there. Because we're not on the 1 hour. It was resetting back to 4. Come on now. Dude, what is that? Belong down there. What the fuck is going on here? Hold on a second here, guys. Let's try this again. I don't know what the fuck is going on here. Hold on here. There's all kinds of wonkiness going on. Come on, baby. Spin her up. Hold on here. Save that. Reset that. I'm having issues this morning. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, we're good. We got the weekly right here. Now we've got Doom. We'll just write doom up here. Doom at 11. That's a joke, by the way. Okay. Now, the last thing we're going to check here is our 30-minute basis. We checked our daily basis. We're going to check our 30-minute. And we want to look at velocity. Now, anybody with velocity at home knows that on a daily basis, we were losing hourly velocity. That should be enough of a demarcation, even though daily is going higher, to tell you that we're going to get some negative velocity on an hourly basis. I should have told you that yesterday. Half an hour basis looks pretty good. Looks nice and deep right now. 15-minute, nice and deep. But hourly, we still haven't given it up yet. We'd be looking for something down here, right? At least almost minus 100. We're not quite there yet, are we? We're at minus 21 right now. So we have more down to go. More doom. Can I bring that lower? Although daily velocity looks great. And here you go for this morning. Is there a price target down below? $540.47. And what's important to know here is this. Even though we get a blast down here, the bigger question is going to be, do we get locked into underneath for a new low? We don't know that yet. I don't think that we do. I think that we blast down here. Now, there's going to be some argument that it is, right? That not only are we failing 562, that the market won't get their new month flows if we park underneath into new month, and that we're going to sweep lower, begin the process right now. And then the question becomes, if we sweep lower, will we hold the market low or not? Question becomes that, right? Will we go down here and only sweep to carry on into the summertime? Because we didn't hit 62, does that mean we revisit the lows down here? That, or even a new market low, that remains to be seen. Now, what is important here is this. Let me get rid of this here. Actually, let me go back here so you can see it. This will be important here. As we come into support, we're almost in support. We want to find out if we're going to ricochet before we get there. If we hit, or if we blast below, just like on tops up there. We want to know the price action that takes place in here. So anyways, we don't know that yet. What is important, or more important than this, though, is the bigger question. And this is the large question here, which is, in all cases, do we swing low and move higher, right? Is it there? Is it there? Is it down below? Or is it we're just going to roll down? And that's a larger question that we have to answer later. If we can get into that conversation today, maybe we will. I think I might save it for a brief, though. The larger question has to do with White House policy and the impacts of White House policy. You know, even if we trade on a smaller time frame, we could trade like 70. We could trade, or we could be done here, right? Or even trade 70, and it's still a part of the recession trade that's been priced in. It's priced in. Now, we have not priced in the recession or depression trade. I shouldn't say recession. The depression trade. You can call it the Great Recession. In 2008, we had a recession that was only stopped from becoming a depression by modern monetary intervention. Not just theory, but intervention. Modern monetary theory intervention, I would say. I don't think that works this time. Personally, I don't think that works this time. I don't think there is any modern monetary intervention this time around that's going to be able to stop the damage that's being done to our economy at this point. Now, we're not going to see those effects, though, until probably summer. And, you know, we're the United States is always forward-looking and optimistic, even in negativity. It's not perfect, but they will forward price in what they need to, but then wait to price in more, depending upon outcome, policy, actual this, actual that. Are they going to, the Americans are eternally optimistic. I don't know if to say that properly, but you're not going to go straight to zero because the depression trade is clear as day is the point. It's going to be up and down as we price all of this shit in. So the first thing that you should realize is, even if we trade 70, it's still a part of this trade up here. You would need to hit that 70 and then begin the roll. You do that, and yes, we're going to price in some nasty, but that's not on my radar at all. Not at this point, it isn't. It would be on my radar potentially in summer, or like mid to late summer or mid to late fall, but it's not on my radar. Price hasn't shown us the way there yet either. Although going down here, even just dipping the wick, implies that we'll be back here again at some point in the future. So the bigger question, though, is, are we going to hit 62 or not? And we're already expecting a pullback into the beginning of the month. Is that pullback going to be easy? Is the pullback going to be deep? Or is the pullback going to open that door down there to come back to in the future? All right, skull and crossbones over there. We're coming for you, stock market. And I think that this is all on the table. I think the 77 is viable. I think that this is viable. This is all viable. I don't think that you can take any of these things off of the table. Now, you see these sellers coming in into the end of the month, right? With voracious appetite, right? Why are they doing that on the 31st, right above positive gamma? Who is this, right? Who's selling this? These sellers are trying to keep us out of this new high because this new high implies that whatever this pullback is, we're going higher, isn't it? End of the month of July. And whoever this is wants to stop that, right? Just like they did in March. So we'll watch this closely. End of the day today, on the 1st, in and around the 1st, and see if we still peek our heads up or not. If we fail to peek our heads up and hit that 62, we're going to be looking for a return more than likely to at least 490.34, right down in here. 490.34 would be what I'd be looking for if we fail to get that. And furthermore, to that point, I would also be looking for this new low to make that happen, which we're not there yet. And we haven't lost the island in the sky yet. Just looking over here. We haven't lost the island in any way, shape, or form. The buyers are still here. We're checking the buyers right now to see if they're real or not. We don't know if we fail and stay underneath. You can see it right here. Fairly simple to see. This all becomes like a yellow box right here. Let me look at this on an hourly basis. You can see this one right here. You can see all these ones stacking up here. And all these guys want is to stop, right? Catch the new low. But we're not there yet. So we don't have that way down yet. We don't have it. Not that I can see. So we're still not even addressing all of this stuff yet. All we have is the new low. That's it. We just have the new low. So way is still higher. There's your 562 up there. Failure on first attempt. That makes sense. Count these really quick. Two, three, four, five. Failed, right? 1, 2, 3. 5. 1, 2, 3. Hang tight here with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that looks right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll get rid of that goofiness because it just looks goofy. That would be one. Here. Hold on here. I don't even know if we can get up there, can we? Close the gap. This is worst case scenario. Well, not worst case, but best case. I think, and I really think that this like beginning of the month low over here, whatever this beginning of the month low is, if there was a time to send us down to 77, this is it right in here. But we ain't there yet. So I think this is a bullshit down move. Price target, upside price target. 551. Actually, scratch that. They're going straight up. 553, 57. Then we're going to take that last one out up there. Let's see if I got this right here. One. No, yeah, we're still on 5 here. We're not done with 5 yet. And then 1, 2, 3, and then we'll talk about the 5 over here later. The 1 hour, the weekly is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 1600, baby. What was that? What was that beeping? $1,900 on Friday. That's all I want, right? Like 62. Is that Monday open? 62.50. 62.50. Right there. Monday at 9:30. Okay. That works for me. $562.50 is up here. Hold on here. Where the fuck that is right there. There we go. I don't know who the hell is barking right now. Let me check this really quick, guys. Hold on. Up, down, down. Get the high there. You're going to fail that one right there. Right there. Hourly trigger holding up. Also note that we're going to get hold on here. Buyers swooping in at 10 a.m. And then buyers swooping in at 10:30. We're going to find out right now if they hold or not. Oh, hold on here. It's never as, this is always screwy here. Hope that didn't move over any of these things over here. It doesn't, we don't need to go much higher right now. Bring that up. The 4-hour bar here. And we have a date up here with, let me bring some of this stuff in over here. We've got big volatility up here. Price target 546.60. We'll reject that. And then 551 and 549. Right about there. Four, back test 4. And the hour and a half hour trigger will be up in here somewhere. Somewhere like this. Okay. We're not done going up as of right now. Even this new low down here does not spell doom and gloom. If we break below, if we reject above here and catch the new low, we'll call it. So we got the low. Got a little bit of a three move here, right? We got the hour and half hour above. If we catch the new low down below, we'll start calling the top end. But we're not there just yet. So the target upside right now is 549.93. And to be honest, as long as all of this holds and we don't catch a new low, so if we bounce here, hit this up here and hold this, we'll begin our way higher to 62 again on a higher frame. I don't see us being done here, so we're still on the island right now. We haven't given nothing up. Not just another chance to buy the dip down below here. Another stretch of price. Okay, now zeros and fives. End of month, new month, that kind of stuff. We have to talk about it because there's a lot going on. I was a little disturbed yesterday. I read a story from CNBC that talked about how the U.S. is not, or China production is dropping, and how we should not be concerned in the U.S. because we are not the largest trading partner for finished goods. And then I heard another argument that, well, China, we're not China's finish, or we're not China's only outlet for goods. And there was other commentary that that's because they finish these goods in other countries that eventually make their way to the United States. So it is bad. The only commentary I didn't hear on that story yesterday was the commentary that you need the world to join in a recession. When you look back in 2000, 2001, 2007, 2008, the whole world joined in. It's required. So if you see numbers right now, any numbers coming out of, let's say, China, and you try to thwart saying, oh, it's because, we're not the largest trading partner with China. Other countries are for their finished goods, or I don't know, whatever it is. Or even an argument that, our goods get finished in other countries, whatever that argument is. Just note that you always, in this environment, you need the world to show signs of weakness. If we're going to enter a recession, a great recession, depression 2.0. The next thing you need to realize is that these things take time. I think I've made that clear as day, right? It's not going to be front run all at once. You're not going to get SPY trading, $1,500 in by midsummer. It doesn't normally happen like that. But there are things that you want to be watching. You want to be watching some data that's coming out of Europe, or not Europe, out of China. You want to be watching the dollar and the bond market, of course, and you want to be watching commodities. And even another big one right now is ports of entry. Not ports of entry, but ports of entry for shipping. There's a lot of warnings that we're going to hit shortages in the next 2 or 3 weeks. You likely don't see those shortages for at least until summer. So if we had the summer trade, if we had the summer upside trade, and you're looking for that like shortages trade, it probably isn't until summertime where you'd even see it or really truly feel it. So even though you might be looking for that stuff, it may not translate to stock market price. And remember the eternal optimism. Even if we know we've broken things that will show their ugly heads eventually, there's always this internal optimism that, we're going to change policy, or I don't know, Trump's going to bend the knee, or, Besant's going to bend the knee, or whoever's going to bend the fucking knee. China's going to bend the fucking knee, whatever the fuck that is. I don't know. But the key point here is that I wouldn't be relying upon that trade translating to today or next week or anything like that. These things take time to play out. Now, we do have to talk about it, though, because what's important here is this, is there is something key here to know. The weekly trigger, nothing stops us above the weekly trigger from trading a failure of all-time highs. Nothing. It's almost like one big giant gap. It's not going to be easy to get above. Not only is it not going to be easy to get above, it opens up this whole other trade here, and we got to talk about this more important discussion, because our discussion only goes to, hey, we're going to trade the weekly trigger, right? Our discussion doesn't go any higher than that, and we have to discuss this for the summer trade. Can I do this on a yeah, right there. That works, I think. We'll come back to this here in a minute. I'm going to hide all of this stuff, but let's look at this from this perspective. Can I hide? Hide drawings. Sweet. Okay, so we know that this is the high in the market, 612, right? We know that these big sellers are up here, right? We know these guys are down here. We know these guys want to get underneath, right? We know that the doomers want, just look at it right here. It's pretty easy, right? We already know that the doomers want to get underneath, right? Oh, yeah, we showed you bulls. Look at that. You fooled again, bulls. We're going down to the depths of hell for new market lows, right? We also know some other stuff. It's not going to be easy getting above this weekly trigger. There's nothing, literally nothing, that stops us from trading this. So I want you to think about that. Like, we're going to fail all-time highs up here. If we break above, and that's going to be a marked thing, right? We need something to squeeze us up here. Anything. to at least fail the all-time high and come back down for. The assumption here would be that we're going to go higher in the summer, fail this. Middle of summer, we'll roll down. Then we'll get a fall trade for all-time highs end of year. Pretend that's the end of the year. And then we'll start a major doom trade in 2027. So you got this move up for the summer trade, then we'll move up end of year, and then we're out of here, right? Doom and gloom, the real effects of all of this policy change will hit. Now, remember that where these guys are, right? These guys are all up here. And look where we are right now. And note that if we're going to do this trade, that this won't be easy. They're going to try to stop this, right? Sellers going to try to stop the sentiment, fear, you name it. All these guys right here, trap buyers, they want nothing to do with this, right? They want nothing to do with this. They want first out they can get. They're not going to be fooled again, right? So we already know those people are here. We've talked about these people already ad nauseum. You expect these sellers to step in. You can see them right here. They're already doing it, right? They want off the ride. They don't want in for trapped again. And there's a key point here that I have to make to you. If we are being told that we're in the recession trade, which is we fail the all-time high, and that we get the all-time high end of year, and then we'll revisit the depression trade for 2027. That's not what happened in the Great Depression, and that's not what happened in the Great Recession either. I want to show you what happened here, if I can. I don't know if I can go back to 2008 on SPY, maybe. I might not have enough bars for it, but let me check. We'll check and see. I don't know if I have enough bars on this chart, but we'll look for it. Maybe we do. Let's find out. If we don't, we'll go to a higher frame. Nope, we don't. I guess I didn't pay for enough bars. Let's go to a daily, see if we can see it here. All right, this works. This is where I really want to show you here. And we're kind of in this same situation right now. Similar, right? Enough to rhyme? We have a gap to close, don't we? That's what you guys were looking at already, right? We haven't closed that gap yet, have we? We never got back in 2008 to challenge or fail all-time highs, did we? Can show this again. Yeah, it's in the wrong place, Trading View. But what I want to show you that's more important is you got the high here, right? In 2008. And an expectation that we would fail it at least, right? It would fail the all-time high. Whoop. Fail it. And then make the all-time high for the recession trade end of year. And instead, we were trapped in, weren't we? On this, we had the tag of the monthly trigger. Right? You see it right there. And then we're just like roped in and sucked down into a vortex. And it got really fucking messy, didn't it? So you have the first leg down, right? And then you're sucked in for the second leg down right here. That's bad. That second leg is the one that is brutal. It's like a complete fucking wash. Talk about getting back to that all-time high. That was 2012, years later. And if you got washed out in 2000, you just made a high, didn't you? You're talking, that's invariably 13, 14 years to get back to just let me out, just let me out. Oh, God, just let me out the second time, and then we ramp-a-rama, right? It's a pretty big fuck show in here, isn't it? 2000, 2008. Pretty gnarly fuck show over here. So where they're telling us hide drawings, yeah, that work. Where they're telling us they're telling us, hey, we're going to get to the return to the scene of the crime up here, right? And then we'll come back and we'll do the all-time highs in a year. Is just more opportunity to suck us in, right? Not today's trade, but is that the top right there? We already hit this monthly, right? Remember the monthly trigger from 2008? We just get sucked back in here again, right? We don't even make the all-time high. We're doing this into end of year. Are we actually in the depression trade? Remember what I said too earlier, where we need to get above and hold this. Right? We need that daily trigger up here. You can see it right here. We need that daily trigger and price action to confirm the way higher to this prior high up here, right? Even if we were to break below and close those gaps, for the trade to all-time highs. So there's still danger in here. There's still this promise of a recession trade. This is where the sellers are, the old men. And look at where they are. Pushed above it, sold down, almost to the dollar, right? It's going to be important to watch. And look at the number of chances that sellers have to sell us down over here. They can sell us down right here, right? They can even sell us down up here. And let's look further out in time. Let's look at this here. So you remember your sellers are right here, right? I mean, they can theoretically This is June. Here's mid-July. I mean, they got all day long, don't they? Hammers here, hammers here, hammers up here, up here. But like they got this. Plenty of time here. Even into summer, right? They have plenty of time in here to continue to want to drop, and expect one of these to work between now and the week time of the summer, right? I mean, they got it. Even if it doesn't work today, they just take a stab at it. And I want you to think about this from like the perspective of hedging, end of month, end of quarter. I want you to think about this whole zone. I want you to think about like all of this between and the promise of Valhalla. We're gonna fail all-time highs up here. In reality, maybe not today or tomorrow, but summertime, October, any of that. This is without a doubt, sell. I'm going to take year puts, bro. I'm going to take 2-year puts, bro. No matter where we are here all summer, I'm going to hedge the fuck. I'm going to get out of the markets. Even if we trade a failure of all-time highs, I don't care. I don't care if we trade Kappa. I don't care if we trade right there. Hand grenades and horseshoes, bro. Selling that, selling this, selling all this. Sell. I don't care if I'm early. Sell. Markets fully believing the low is not in, even if not today. And this kind of represents it better, right? You can see all the green down here. And you can see all the yellow to red up here, right? And so I guess you have to fundamentally ask yourself, do you think too much damage has been done? Do you think the answer is today as a seller? Probably you do. You think it's going to zero today, but it's not. So you put enough time on and you hedge yourself out at the month, right? And at the quarter. Every month, every quarter, you're going to hedge that outcome. So this makes sense to me. There's no I'm not doomish or anything like for today. But I think keeping perspective, like scaling out a little bit, is important on these dates. And we come into these, that up there. I think we come into these like these month ends, these quarter ends. When we look at the whole picture, I think it's normal to see violence here. You're talking about going into positive gamma, and you're making the assumption that that the banks are not lying to you. that they're telling you the truth. Oh, bro, we priced in the recession. Okay, I get that. I see it. Even if we hit 77, we're going to hit the failure of all-time highs, right? That's all positive, right? And we're going to see an all-time high end of year, bro. And the banks are telling us this. But nothing in policy has it. None of the damage that's been done has hit us. If you go on Temu right now, you can see the effect of tariffs, but you don't see it yet in like Amazon and Walmart, but you're going to. You're going to shortly. You're going to see products, even though the companies have loaded up on products and stuff like that. Some companies are claiming to have 3 to 6 months of back orders in warehouses and in yards, places. But it's in that terminal hope, right? The terminal positivity and positive outlook that things will improve. Policy will change. Time will help policy change. And that might be true. But the damage is being done, isn't it? We have mechanical damage being done to our economy right now. Severe damage done, even if you and I don't see it. If we're looking at a shelf and there's, I don't know, pencils on the shelf, and the top shelf normally has cases. Maybe the cases are missing right now. So they're just filling you just what they need to. There's no back storage. And then you start to see 5 different brands of pencils. You start to see 3 brands, then 2 brands, then 1 brand. That takes time to affect us, right? It's like a boiling frog. And then you get, of course, the interplay of the White House, and you get the interplay of the Senate. You get the interplay of everybody, right? Jerome Powell, you name it. You've got elections on the horizon, more copium and stuff like that, right? But this stuff takes time, is the overall arching point. And this market is set for that, isn't it? This market is set so that every time we run up here, it's giving an orderly exit to buyers, right? It's giving this, like right where we are, between like here and 62. You remember the last drop was at 73, I think. So 62 is the orderly exit, isn't it? We're trading 55 yesterday. Hang grades and horseshoes is pretty close. And if we go up to trade 62 again, you're likely going to see still that same action, right? If we hit 60, you're going to see that action. If we hit 62, you're going to see that action. If we hit 65 or we hit 6,000 or 590, you're going to then see another wave of sellers. If anybody out there that's watching the shows knows anything about distribution, right, or wick off, whatever you want to call it, you know that we can easily return to all-time highs too, right? But even so, it's still just another function of exiting the building, even if we were to continue higher. But right now, our economies around the world look like shit, don't they? So the bigger overarching question is this. This is the bigger overarching question. In your thesis, is there damage being done? The answer is yes. Even if we were to get policy change, is there damage being done? The answer is yes. Yes. And they've been telling us along the way all these things, right? And we're going, yeah, maybe that won't happen. Maybe it'll be improved. Maybe this, maybe that. But in fact, those things are done, aren't they? Right? We're following through with those things. We're making threats to other countries. We're imposing tariffs that are obscene, right? They're just like we are moving into ending our relationship with China, right? That's what it is. We heard last week Trump talking about having discussions with China, and they're like, we didn't have any discussions with that guy. Then he's like, well, we're negotiating and things are going to improve. This is a two-sided thing at this point. When two people look at each other from across the street and one picks a fight with the other eventually, we know that happens, right? Eventually, I'm going to fight that guy over there. And you take a swing at him, and that guy decides to take a swing back at you. He doesn't take the hit. Say, oh, man, what did I do? I fucked something up. I'm sorry. He goes, you know what? Fuck that guy. Bam. Rock him back in the face. Becomes a fight, doesn't it? And once that fight begins, it doesn't necessarily end because one person stops. If any of you have ever been in a fight in your life or ever been afraid of getting into a fight in life, what is the fear of getting into a real fight? That it grows out of control, right? Or that you might want it to end, but it may not end, right? If it doesn't end, how bloody does it get? Well, let's say you start losing and you go, put my hand, I'm sorry, man, I was wrong. I didn't know you were that strong. And that guy just keeps swinging on you or kicking you while you're down, right? Or does some permanent damage to you. There's no way for you to automatically raise the white flag and say, I'm done. So when you move from a dispute to a war, just because one side is done with that war does not make the other side done with that war. When you go from dispute to war, it doesn't necessarily end because you say it will end. So let me ask you a bigger overarching question. Do you think this is the bottom of the market if we're doing this damage? And your answer should not be no. Even if you're the most bull, there's permanent damage being done. Yesterday, Canada came out and said that they have unwound themselves from a permanent agreement with the United States of America. They said that yesterday. We're destroying our relationships with countries around the world, the EU, right? We're threatening Canada with 54th first state. We're threatening Greenland. We're threatening Colombia, Panama, Mexico. We are in an active trade war, not trade dispute, trade war with China that has effects on our economy. So it is our bottom in. I would gander that most of you don't believe so. And the ones that do, congrats. If this is the bottom, I would love for it to be. If everything goes away magically, no problem. But do you think this is the bottom? Likely not, right? And I don't mean like this dollar amount. You know what I mean? I mean like 77, 577, 580, even 555 or 547 where we are right now. It's close enough in hand grenades and horseshoes. When we look back in time, you're not going to care about if it was 77 or 52. You're not going to care. It's going to be close enough. Is this the bottom? Likely not. So you're likely going to see this stress in these places, these major inflection points in the market. You're going to see people exit even if they don't tell you the truth. You're going to see orderly, hey, I'm out. Hey, I'm going to hedge. Hey, I didn't hedge in February. Where's the first place to think about a hedge? Right here. Weekly trigger. This is an inflection point. In 2008, we traded in and around here, and we traded sideways, and then we fucking death rolled to the downside. And they didn't need to be accurate here, did they? Doesn't matter if they pick the high yesterday at the close. Doesn't matter if they pick 62. All they got to do is throw a fucking hedge on for a year or two, and in that thesis, it should print at some point, right? Put enough time on it, it's going to print. I want to be early. Why do you want to be early? Well, because the last time we traded 73, they did the same bullshit. Ran us all the way up. And see it right there. Let's look at it back here. Same bullshit right here, right? See it right here. Fairly easy to see, right? Break out, bro. We're going to break out. We're going to break out. We're going to squeeze. Suck it right back down, right? What does today's price action look like? Same shit, right? Looks like the same shit, doesn't it? Bro, we're going to squeeze. Sucked right back down. And you're gonna create panic and fear, and it's probably already, you're not even really creating it. It's just there. I think last week and the week before I told you, even the last few weeks I told you, you're going to be taking this trip higher And your own friends are going to tell you, oh no, bro, all-time highs. And they're gonna exit the whole way up on you and not even tell you. And then maybe come out later and say, oh no, bro, I got out. As soon as we hit that mark, man, as soon as we hit that, I got out. And that's regardless of where price is going. And why? Because it's an overarching feeling or thought that there's damage being done, that this is not the bottom, that there's more doom to come. There's going to be things said across the world as time progresses that are progressively worse, even if you don't feel like you felt it. I want to read something to you because I remember 2007 and 2008. I was, I don't want to say young in my career, but I was becoming an adult. I had done high school. I had done the Army. I got back in the Army again a second time. I was full on in my profession, but I was young, considered young in my profession. I remember working through the worst part. I want to say the worst part. What I think, maybe not the worst part. I'm trying to think of when exactly I left. I was in Vail at that time. I was in Vail, Colorado, and I recalled a few things happening. New money left the building. It was clear as day. This was when the Enron gang was hanging out up in the other ski hill. And, but people stopped buying Louis Trey. People stopped buying Cristal. Everywhere you went up until that point, everyone's spending money. People were partying. Anywhere I went, you'd see tens of thousands of dollars being pissed away. People would come to ski, and they would leave their skis on the mountain, brand new skis, because it was cheaper to just buy them in the U.S., dump them, and get on a flight back to South America. These are oil barons and shit like that. So you'd be able to get free skis and shit. You were drinking the best booze. And then it just ended. Now, I didn't really feel the recession personally until the mid to back end of it. I remember that I finally left Vail. The reason that I left Vail at the time, which is weird because I remember my wife not wanting to move. And I wanted to move because I'd said to this is the key point here, is that I'd said to my wife, look, we live in the richest ski town in North America. And at that time, there was a couple smaller ones, like Montana had one, but it was really, really small. But at that time, the biggest, baddest skiing in the U.S. Was basically Vail. It was a corporate town. It was fake as fuck. There was no community. There's community. There's a lot of community from the 1970s, but it had gone past its golden age. And Enron was hitting, and the crash or the recession in 2008 was hitting. And all these ski resorts were changing who they were attracting. And I was like, I think we should move to somewhere that won't be as hit as hard as Vail is, and may not recover as quickly as Vail, due to them relying upon such wealthy people. We should try to capture that middle class people to make money. And I didn't really feel the recession. Let me say that again. I wasn't that wealthy. Squeezing higher now, trading 547.81 with a target of 549.93. We're going to check this cross above here of the half an hour and hourly trigger. I had it was really bizarre. For such a horrible time period for a lot of people, including my dad didn't really take that hit. He took it in 87. But for a lot of America, it was a really bad time period. And people didn't recover. And I have to remember that I was younger and that it wouldn't affect me like it affects other people. I had mobility. I had a job that paid me very well, but I was kind of maxing out where I was in my position where I was living, and I had the ability to move and find a more consistent money flow. If I was, instead of me just making money off of very wealthy people, I could make money off of middle class people. As long as that money flow kept going, it was fairly easy to make my way through life. And the reason I want to talk to you about this is because how things take time. If we're in a trade war with China, those things take time. The effects of those things take time, and they affect people differently depending upon who you are. Are you wealthy? Are you ultra wealthy? Are you middle class? Are you upper middle class? Are you poor? How do those things impact me as a person? And I want to read something to you because I always find when people have these irrational fears about these things, like how bad would a depression be, or a Great Depression 2.0, or a Great Recession 2.0, or like, hey, Cap, am I totally fucked in this? I had a story that I posted on BlueSky. I don't know. I was going to read it to you now, but maybe I won't. Maybe I'll get to the link to it or repost it or something. But there's a story that I read or I posted. Let's see if we can find it here. Maybe I will read it. Hold on. See if I can find this story for you. Where is this? Here we go. I'll repost it right now. And this is a story from someone that lived through a collapse of his country. Now, I don't think we're going into collapse, far from it. But what's interesting is his country collapsed, and it reminded me of my experience in 2007 and 2008. Let's see if I can read this to you. This guy said, I lived through collapse. America is already there. Living in Sri Lanka during the end of the Civil War, I saw how life goes on surrounded by death. I saw how life goes on surrounded by death. I lived through the end of a civil war. I moved back to Sri Lanka in my 20s, just as a ceasefire fell apart. Do you know what it was like for me? It was quite normal. I went to work. I went out. I dated. This is what Americans don't understand. They're waiting to get personally punched in the face while ashes fall from the sky. That's not how it happens. This is how it happens. Precisely what you're feeling right now. The numbing litany of bad news, the ever-rising outrages, people suffering, dying, protesting. Now, this isn't happening in the U.S. right now. But all this is going on around you while you think about what you're going to eat for dinner. If you're trying to carry on while people around you are having issues, right? Your society is not collapsing. In this case, trade war, right? It's already fallen down. This guy wrote, I was looking through some old photos for this article, and the mix is shocking to me now, almost offensive. There's a burnt body in front of my office that I'm playing Scrabble with friends. There's bomb smoke rising in front of the mall. Then I'm at a concert. There's long lines for gas, but then I've got pictures of me at a nightclub. This was all within 2 weeks. This guy talks about. So what this guy talks about is how things really bad can happen around you, and they may or may not affect you directly. I'm not going to continue to read the article to you, but I found the article fascinating because I think a lot of us are always looking for the gotcha moment. I think we're all looking for like the stock market should go to zero, or I should see no more toothpastes on the shelves, or I should see this or see that, or I'm going to need to be out in the streets or something, or I got to talk to my neighbors, or I have to do all this craziness because it's my movie. It's my story. and my story will be a part of this history. That's not really true though, in most circumstances, as these bad things happen. But you have to be aware that they are going on in the background. And I think that was important to me in 2007 and 2008. Did that economic recession impact me negatively? No, it didn't. And it was actually good. And I also was able to move and make great money. I moved to another place. They were not nearly impacted as bad as Vail, Colorado. I made great money there. Matter of fact, when we escaped or recovered from the recession, I did very well in this place. So your experience is going to be different than others in this. All you have to be aware of is the damage that's being done. That's what really matters, is that you're aware of it, and how do you work your way around the minefield that might be there. So yesterday, we were on the cusp of positive gamma. Let me give you the gamma outlook here. Show you where gamma is at this morning. This is SPX gamma. And look where we were parked. This is a gamma flip right here. Let's check it today. And are we in a place where everything is good? Gamma flip's now higher. It's at 55.85. It's gone higher today. And what I really want you to think about is the overarching, where are we? Are we in a place where things should turn positive and supportive or not? Should we be above this and we just float and grind higher? And at the moment, it isn't, is it? At the moment, this gamma flip is now slightly higher. It should raise up as time moves forward here, opening that door to 562. And to trade that weekly trigger above. But even so, if we're able to get up here, trade this and reject, or even higher and squeeze, we still have to hold this gamma flip. Like, this is the base of all of our support. This gamma flip at today it's at 550, 5585. But you have to build this poop island, don't you? To begin to talk about this trade to prior all-time highs, failure of all-time highs. This would be a distinct feeling or thought or improvement in policy, something that makes us create poop island, not this poop island, but the next poop island. And the importance of it being positive gamma for us to begin to talk about everything is over, everything is done, the bottom's in, you name it. Policy has changed, Trump has given in, I don't know. Somebody's given in, Besant, I don't know, the Fed chair, I don't know, whatever, China, wherever, Russia, China, everybody's given in. So this is a big inflection point, isn't it? Major inflection point. And they're going to sit up here and tell you, fuck you, no, aren't they? No, no, no. No, you're not building your awesome island of poop. You know, steaming pile of poop with like poop volcano spewing ash poop ash or whatever. So I want you to think about that when you think about the boiling frog, or the, what does this all look like, or what am I looking for, or are things okay? Are we on Poop Island yet? The new Poop Island? No. Nope, we're not, are we? It's going to be hard to build Poop Island, more than likely. It's going to take time to build up Poop Island up here. Yeah, you got to stack shit, right? You got to stack shit as high as you possibly can, right? And what are they going to try to stop you from doing? From building Poop Island, right? A mix of fear, a mix of fear and real true, hey, the bottom's not in. This would be the first demarcation point. You've got this one here, and you've got the prior high above. You basically have two places that they're going to tell you to go fuck yourself. And no matter what, you're going to hit volatility. SPY now squeezing higher, trading 548.85, looking for that second target to the upside. Let's take a quick break to go over there and just check it out. Trading higher now. We've got the target above of 549.93. You know how I feel about this stuff. I don't like being long or short as we come into major intraday, intra-week, whatever volatility. This is where you leave it for FOMO. You also know that the sellers are right here in this white line. It's where the old men are. So they will call them ODB, old dirty bastards up there. Oh, no. No. No, what did I do wrong here? No. God damn it. No. How about just no? All right. Make that one a 40. ODB's right here. There's your one. Your price target is 550.05. As we get closer, don't get in the middle of the mess. There's 11:30. We got that target there. That target there, and then that target right there. So this gamma picture down below here, we have rejection off of positive gamma earlier. We do know that if we get above that gamma flip, which is at 55.85, we're still not firmly in positive gamma. And what I want to draw you to is this chart right here. This is net gamma on the market. 5,600 was where we would need to be productive. But not only that, we're at the end of a new month, or the end of an old month and the beginning of a new month. So this 5,600, we want to see if price can get above not 58.85, but above 5,600. And we want calls rolled higher. Remember that. We want calls. We want traders to believe that we can trade higher. We don't want to reject this 5,800 right here. So let's take a look back again. Not 5,800, excuse me. This is SPX Gamma, by the way. We want to be watching closely this 5,600 up here. And the mechanics of this trade is what's important. If you have the pie in the sky, let's call it 6,000. Hold on here. Give me a second here, guys. Give me one quick second here. Apologize for that. I had a video call come in that was unexpected. Okay. So let me explain the mechanics of this trade to you really quick. So here's 5,600. This red line. I really don't care if we trade this 6,000 or not. There's 6,000. That would be the return to, that would be like the carrot. You know, I'm like the guy from with the fish from Game of Thrones, right? Wagging the fish at you, asking if you want it, right? Are you looking for this? Is that what you want? I'm going to wave it at your face, right? What we need is to be watching the new month flows. So let's say we get up here. That's how you get your 562, by the way. Right? We get up here. We get our 562. Then you start buying and rolling your calls higher. We're not going to go there, though, are we? You roll your calls up here. We'll normally swoop back down before hitting them, right? We'll murder all those calls at 6,000 and then print them either in June or July, right? Somewhere farther out in time, right? Burn all those calls and then hit that high, right? Or even fail it in mid-July. So this week, today into Friday and into next Friday, I would say the rest of this week, and into next week at some point, you want to see two things if you're a bull. You want to see price high enough to trigger CTAs, COTs, and the rolling of calls higher. And if we can do that, we'll do the normal pullback, and then we'll hit those higher highs mid-summer. Now, if we fail to get higher, so we do a failure here, right? We're down here. We're not going to trigger those calls, are we? And then we'd begin looking lower. Yep, hold on here. Coming into target price of 549.93 on SPOOs. If we can't get above here, you're not going to see the roll of calls, and you're actually going to see the rolling into puts deeper. They'll bloody us down, suck us back up again, and we'll go downtown. We'll tag the 562 or whatever, but begin heading down for the summer, or at least early summer. So price will matter. Price is going to matter today, tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, regardless of the selling here. It's going to matter. So if your thesis is up for the summertime, your thesis should be what else? That we recover all of this quickly, don't we? Right? We're up here for that summer trade. So we'll know this as we enter the close of today. We'll know this as we enter Thursday, Friday, and into next week. I would be less concerned about whatever this roll is, and I would be more concerned with where is price end of day today, end of day Friday. How do we close the week out? And, are we high enough for those new month flows to trigger all that buying, and then the dealers to step in and counter trade that trade in the beginning, right? So it's going to matter. Now, you may be wondering what my thesis is here. If you are wondering what my thesis is here, I've already drawn it out for you. And it hasn't changed since last week. No change. Even with this monster down move, I think it's just more volatility. And I think without a doubt, the powers that be don't want you to think that you're getting that trade. They want you not positioned long. So my thesis is it's still higher. The upside trade in summertime, likely is going to be targeting 5,900, I would say at best, or at worst case. But though we are going to get a pullback first week of May, first week of May, maybe the second week because of the way the dates are this year. We get like 2 days end of week this week. I don't know if those flows come in like Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday, and then the weekend. Then we start the new trend higher on the 1st or whatever. But the one thing you want to be aware of is there is going to be some kind of, if we can get high enough to trigger those flows, there should still be that pullback for that summer trade. That trade has not happened yet, and this ain't it. If you think that's it, I don't think that it is. And I don't think that we're in the trade of doom and gloom today. I think that when you live through these, major things like recessions or depressions or trade wars, we haven't had one in a long period of time. And I think there's plenty of room here for these sellers to get short, either here or above at 5,900, 6,000. There's plenty of time and space for someone to hedge this market and for it to move higher before we really deal with the boiling frog, where the toothpaste is down or the pencil is down to you only having one. And I think there's time between now and summer to have that happen. I think there's space and price for that to happen. And I don't think you get the trade in one day. If you look at how this took place in 2008, in the year 2000, this shit takes time. It takes like weeks and months and years to find market bottoms. It's not normally like 30 days in, 3 months in. Oh boy, we got it. Depression over. Now it's all good times from here on up. I don't see that. So when you're looking at this scaled out a little bit, I don't think that this downside move today is anything more than a function of where we are in the market. Negative flows coming in end of the month, and then a place for people to exit the market in an orderly fashion. I think that's reasonable. Is it me? No, I'm still long. I still own SPY. I haven't sold anything. But I think that it's common to experience this volatility where we are. And we're not at a place either where if we're going to come into positive gamma, that it's acceptable yet. There's like nothing saying at this moment, hey, let's get bullish or let's be more supportive in the market. There's no news that I've heard mentioning that. So we haven't had that news yet, have we? I would expect that news today, tomorrow, at some point here soon. I would expect some bad news. Well, I should expect some bad news too. That would cause us to have this sweep lower, right? At 62, we sweep lower. I'm going to tell you something fucked up. But we're also going to get some kind of stabilizing news in the market as well to move higher. As far as price action's telling me right now. So here's the old dirty bastards up here. They're going to try to stop us from the upside. We already know where they are. Came into the price target of 549.93. We'll see if we can get above here and at least jump up. Note that whenever we come up into this zone, we're going to definitely get a pullback. It ain't going to be pretty. We do have some gaps to close on the upside here, 552.68, 553.35, and 553.93. Stock market recovering its losses from the downside move. This is unusual too, right? Stock market trying to recover. We are coming into the halfback trade right now. Just be careful of the pullback. You're going to be using the same thing that we've been using all week, which is this island in the sky, right? We're parked on the island right now. We had a nice little wick on SPX. This is exactly where right here. We're going to expect buyers to step in. Here's your support, this big green box. This is your gamma flip down below. Let's take a look at this. Here's your gamma profile here. This is your support. Right about there. This is 54.33. 54.50 right in here. 54.50. Excuse me. No, yeah, 54.50. And I want to show you this really quick if I can. This is 5,400. This is 54.50. We just swooped down just like that. What are we doing right now? As long as we're holding this, and that's where we are right here. As long as we're holding this, we're still on Poop Island, or our smaller Poop Island, right? We're trying to create a Poop Island or make the jump to create Poop Island 2, right? We're going to try to build Poop Island 2 up here. As long as we're holding this, your jump point is 54. Let's make this down here. Just check this down here. Make sure I get this right. 5,400, 5,450. Sweet. Got our jump point. Still have our upside targets. They're still viable here. Our gamma flip has come down to 55.85. Let's look at our first resistance point, and that is actually 5,600. We have the buyers that stepped in. We're going to expect a pullback here and at least hold up on this right here. Going to try to close that gap right there. And there's your 50. Hold on one second here. I don't know what the hell is going on here. I got some real wonkiness in my phone. All right. I don't know what's going on with my phone. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If the outlook is still 562. Nice pullback coming up. We're going to look for one more push higher here. Where's the 1030 low? The next pump was right here. Let me check this really quick, guys. Hold on. $10.43. Right there. We'll find out on this pullback if it's if we got doom or gloom or not, intraday at least. If we pull back and hold this right here, should be good. Note that sellers are going to attempt to come in and sell this down into the 12 o'clock or the 12 o'clock hour and the 12:30 hour. All right, maybe we'll go back to financial juice. That thing was just going off this morning.
Trump says, I was very against everything Biden did on the economy.
Let's see if I can get this to come back in with better volume.
Trump says core GDP was up despite distortions. Trump praising GDP investment. So Trump praising gross domestic investment. Trump says it takes a while to get domestic facilities built. Trump says investment in the US includes chip and car companies.
Ukraine ready to sign minerals deal with U.S. today, per Bloomberg. Quote, the draft agreement, which envisages creating a joint fund to manage Ukraine's investment projects, has been finalized and may be signed as soon as Wednesday. Good news. GDP from this morning, Q1 0.3% versus 0.2%, expected 2.4%. The expected was 0.2% and 2.4% was prior GDP. We've already priced all of this into the market, although they also restated what GDP was. They're trying to look for better GDP numbers. The market will adjust to those numbers. It doesn't really matter if they're going if they're going to try to like reframe what GDP is. Treasury Department or quarterly refunding statement. The U.S. Department of Treasury was offering 125 billion of Treasury securities to refund approximately 94.2 billion of privately held Treasury notes.
Atlantic praised TSMC investment in Arizona. According to sources familiar with the knowledge of discussions, Saudi Arabian officials in recent weeks have briefed allies, industry experts, that the kingdom can sustain prolonged period of low prices, as according to 5 sources familiar with the knowledge of discussions. Keep an eye on oil, seeing movement towards the downside here. Again, Saudi Arabian officials in recent weeks have briefed allies and industry experts that the kingdom can sustain prolonged period of low prices, according to 5 sources familiar with the knowledge of discussions.
Yeah, that's right. Keep on going down, baby. We noted that you would see the low in oil in midsummer in July. Oh, yeah, baby. This shit is going down.
There's further detail into this here. Saudi Arabian officials are briefing allies and industry experts to say the kingdom is unwilling to prop up the oil market with further supply cuts and can handle a prolonged period of low prices, according to 5 sources familiar with the knowledge of discussions. This possible shift in Saudi policy could suggest a move toward producing more and expanding its market share, a major change after 5 years spent balancing the market through deep output as a leader of the OPEC Plus group of oil producers. Those cuts supported prices and in turn bolstering the oil export revenue that many oil producers rely on. So the Saudi government's communication office hasn't responded on it. Trump says tariffs haven't kicked in yet. And we know China is doing very poorly right now.
Trying for a squeeze right now on SPY with that news. Note if you've paid attention to our updates on oil over the past 6 months to a year, expect oil to blast down to the depths of hell into midsummer, like mid-July, late July. And that would be the bottom for oil for multiple years. If you were looking for a long in oil, mid-July, and it should print hard and heavy for you for a long period of time.
Trump says, it's Trump just citing cargo shipping decline from China. And at a certain point, I hope for a deal with China. And I hope we will make a deal with China, and we're talking to them. Fairness with China includes IP, and I don't want China's product unless they're fair.
Watch out for this squeeze to the upside here.
Trump says, I want China to do well. I want every nation to do well. So just going back to the oil news, further detail is this, that Riyadh has been angered by Kazakhstan and Iraq producing above their OPEC plus targets, is what the sources said. And the group establishes those targets to keep supply and demand balanced in oil markets. So probably that headline as a bit of anger then in regards to Iraq and Kazakhstan producing above the OPEC plus targets and frustration.
All right, I gotta get this done. The U.S. Department of Treasury is offering $125 billion of Treasury securities to refund approximately 94.
Seeing further moves towards the downside. Off of the back of that headline, the Saudi Arabian officials in recent weeks have briefed allies and industry experts that the kingdom can sustain a prolonged period of low prices, according to 5 sources familiar with the knowledge of discussions.
The U.S. Department of Treasury is offering $125 billion of Treasury securities to refund approximately $94.2 billion of privately held Treasury notes maturing on May 15th, 2025. This issuance will...
Saudi headline getting wider notation on the major news wires.
This issuance will raise new cash from private investors of approximately $30.8 billion. The securities are a 3-year note in the amount of $58 billion, maturing in May 15th of 2028, a 10-year note in the amount of $48.2 billion, maturing in May 15th of 2035, and a 30-year bond in the amount of $25 billion, maturing in May 15th of 2055. The 3-year note will be auctioned at...
Seth says Golden Dome is well underway.
Thanks, Seth. Thanks, Whiskey Leaks. He's like chiming in. He's like, I got this, bro. I got this. The 3-year note will be auctioned at 1 p.m. on May 5th. That's this Monday. The 10-year note will be auctioned at 1 p.m. on Tuesday, May 6th. And the 30-year bond will be auctioned at 1 p.m. on Thursday, May 8th. All these auctions will take place on a yield basis and will settle on May 13th, 2025. This could be the inflection point that you're looking for in the stock market. The balance of Treasury financing requirements are over the quarter will be met with regularly weekly bill auctions, cash management bills, and monthly note, bond, and Treasury inflation-protected securities tips. And the 2-year floating rate notes, the FRN auctions. The nominal coupon in FRN financing, Treasury believes its current auction sizes leave it well positioned to address potential changes to the fiscal outlook and to the pace and duration of future SOMA redemptions. Based on current projected borrowing needs, Treasury anticipates maintaining nominal coupon and FRN auction sizes.
Wealth funds want to invest in the US.
Voice news disconnected.
In FRN auction sizes for at least the next several quarters. The table, I'm not going to show you this table, but basically, I would be looking closely at these auction dates. These are going to be critical and key for you. The 3-year is at 1 p.m. on the 5th. The 10-year is on 1 p.m. on the 6th.
And falling to a fresh intraday low below $59 a barrel.
The 30-day is on Thursday, May 8th.
They have to come home.
So if you're looking for a rear view mirror trade in the stock market, I would be looking towards the 3rd, 5th, and 8th for that trade. If you're looking for a bottom, whatever this pullback is going to be, somewhere in and around this quarterly refunding statement when we offer these bills up to the marketplace next week. So again, those dates would be the 5th,
says tariff
6th, and 8th.
External revenue services.
Dude, what just happened here? Now I've got him speaking again in the background. I got some real wonkiness going on, man. Like, I can't seem to. Try it again.
London touts removing
Here we go.
to help small businesses.
Golden Dome.
London touting removing de minimis to help small businesses.
I mean, look at this. Some of the stuff from Trump here. Tariffs haven't kicked in yet. That's not true. It depends on where you're buying from right now and are taking delivery. I'm saddened to hear China is getting absolutely hammered. Another note from Trump. Again, remember, when you're in a trade war, remember that if one person offers the peace flag, takes a swipe at you, and then you take a swipe back at me, and then all of a sudden the person that threw the punch offers you a white flag,
and be on the bleeding edge of news for
does not necessarily mean that the other party is going to take it.
For a year's worth of our service for
China also being slighted today. These are very smart people, by the way. I know China is doing very poorly right now. At a certain point, I hope for a deal with China. I'm talking to them. Fairness with China includes IP. So we are starting to get some answers or some more definition from Trump as to what our demands are.
Says Rubio has asked to talk on Kashmir situation.
Trump's also saying, I don't want China's products unless they're fair. I want China to do well. I want every country to do well. Lutnick saying sovereign wealth funds want to invest in the U.S. Lutnick going on to say pharma knows they have to come home. Tariff revenue coming in for external revenue service. And Lutnick touting removing de minimis to help small businesses. And that would mean your Temu. I told you that when Trump said tariffs haven't taken effect yet, that's false. Lutnick saying that he's willing to remove the, I think it's $800. We used to have a rule that if you bought less than $800, you wouldn't be hit with tariffs. So the minimum, right? You've got Lutnick saying he's going to try to save de minimis. I don't know that they can save it from China's side, though. How you remove de minimis from the counter tariffs from China. So I don't even know how that works. Maybe the U.S. side would be the U.S. side of these tit-for-tat tariffs might come off, but the tariffs from China would not. Unless China did the same thing in kind, the untit for untat. You would need China to do that, but they haven't responded, of course, to that statement as of yet. We also want to watch out here closely. We're not getting the squeeze. And we want to see if we lose this here, this support. Watch this closely. We may be beginning that roll early. We're going to take another shot at it here at 12:30 to send it downtown. Target downside if we do roll, 545.41. It's kind of funny. I'm reading some of this stuff here in the background. And it's like talk out of both mouths. Pharma knows it needs to come home, and we want a fair trade deal with China. If you're going to send pharma back to the U.S. and production back to the U.S., that's a whole new economy, isn't it? That's a whole new economy. So. This still doesn't look like anything that I can see that's permanent here. Nothing that I'm reading here, at least. Because we went through the QFS, right? Next thing we're going to do is Treasury on buybacks. Treasury on buybacks. Treasury is evaluating potential enhancements to its buyback program to better achieve its liquidity support and cash management goals. The buyback program, launched in May of 2024, has been well received and has increased the resilience of the Treasury market, ultimately providing savings to the American taxpayer through lower interest costs over time. Given the success of the buyback program since its launch last year, Treasury believes it is an appropriate time to consider waves.
One big contractor, maybe Raytheon or IBM for ATC contract.
SPU's still holding.
So again, Trump says maybe Raytheon or IBM.
Still holding intraday Poop Island. Take one more shot at it up here.
Putin says he has no doubt that Russia's relationship with Europe will be restored sooner or later.
Given the success of the buyback program since its launch last year, Treasury believes it is an appropriate time to consider ways to improve its efficacy.
Trimming decline to about 1%.
Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. That's better. That's better. SPOO's again lining up for a squeeze higher.
Voice news disconnected.
Given the success of the buyback program since its launch last year, Treasury believes it's an appropriate time to consider ways to improve its efficacy. Accordingly, Treasury will evaluate a broad range of possible enhancements, such as changes to maximum purchase amounts, buyback operation scheduling and frequency, security eligibility, majority bucket composition, execution process, and counterparty eligibility. In considering these options, Treasury will be guided by the objective of financing the government at the lowest cost over time. Treasury is committed to engaging with a wide range of market participants, including the primary dealers and Treasury Borrowing Advisory Committee, to assess these potential enhancements to the buyback program. Today, Treasury is releasing a tentative buyback schedule for the upcoming refunding quarter. As the schedule indicates, Treasury plans to conduct weekly liquidity support buybacks of up to $4 billion per operation in nominal coupon securities. In longer maturity buckets, Treasury plans to conduct 2 operations, each up to $2 billion over the refunding quarter. Treasury also plans to conduct 2 operations, each up to $500 million in each of the TIPS buckets. Treasury also plans to resume cash management buybacks around the June 2025 tax due date. We're going to get a squeeze or what? Just a note here, we did get a new high. Just take a quick peek at this. We got the high right here, and we just tagged the new high right here. We have held up on this 1-minute trigger. Look for a squeeze higher. Still looking pretty bullish here. There's a gap to close above. Treasury anticipates that over the course of the upcoming quarter will purchase up to $30 billion in off-the-run securities across buckets for liquidity support and up to $20 billion in the 1-month to 2-month bucket for cash management purposes. Finally, Treasury plans to implement improvements to its internal systems for buyback processing and disclosure on June 3rd, 2025. Due to these improvements, the buyback announcement and results will be published to the Treasury Direct will change starting June 3rd, 2025. A description of the changes and examples of the new XML file format are available on the Treasury Direct Buybacks webpage. We have a note coming out from Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs coming out this morning and asking the question, is the worst behind us? I think we already started to discuss that this morning. Risk assets have staged a partial recovery from their April 8th lows. For markets, the most immediate question is whether there is a fresh whether there is fresh downside to come. Now, fresh downside meaning new lows, right? New market lows. We said that in trade policy was the most obvious route for recovery in risk assets. We have seen a version of that starting with the 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs, product-specific tariff exemptions, and seeming openness to negotiating with China. Those are modest shifts that still leave significant tariffs and recession risk in place, but is likely true that we are past the peak of new tariff shocks and possibly past peak policy uncertainty. This morning, when you have this interview with Trump going on, you can see that Lutnick and Trump himself are offering some kind of a leaf here to China, some kind of a leaf for some kind of a leaf of what would you call it? If you're going to offer relief to, say, a hurricane victim, but not permanent, right? Hey, we'll help you out as we go through this policy, or possibly help you out, but nothing in stone yet, is it? So you do have one thing that came out this morning that I have not seen. Trump mentioning IP needed to be said. He's said it in the past, but not since he started this new war. So I would call that at least defining or beginning to define what Trump wants. But two-faced or two mouths, when you hear Lutnick say it's time for pharma to come home to the U.S., it's also putting the writing on the wall saying, we're not here to lose this trade war. And I think you need to understand that even if you're offered relief from the president or from Lutnick or Besant, where we are in this market, it's not a return to all-time highs. If anything, it is built for you to roll yourself and the market higher. There's an intent here. Let's try to get this market to recover for now until we hit them with the next round of bad news. So this is positive, the stuff that Trump is saying today, but they're not committing to this stuff. You didn't hear Trump come out today and say, we got rid of the de minimis today. There has been none of that. There's just talk of it. And that is for you to do what? It is for you to roll your calls higher and to have some hope to the upside. So I would say that 562 remains at play here for this upside move, and the pullback remains too, but not to the fresh all-time lows. We'd still be looking for that pullback to sweep you into. If you're looking at it from this perspective over here, if we hit the 62, we're able to hit 5,600. You buy a bunch of calls, run it down on some more doom, and then we're off and running again to the upside for the summer trade. So this does all look like, it looks like GS is trying to call for, hey, let's take a breather here, right, for summer or spring or summer. And then you see Trump and Lutnick this morning trying to prime the pump as well for bulls into the summer trade, which I'm for here. Like, I'm for the summer trade here. I just don't know that we're going to hit 6,000, 5,900, possibly. That's the target, at least, for the summer trade into midsummer. 5,900, 6,000, somewhere in there, and likely a better dip to buy in the first week of May, even lower. So keep that in mind when you're listening to all of these things that Lutnick are saying this morning and Trump is saying this morning. More U.S. and Ukraine running into last-minute snag on minerals deal, according to Financial Times, with Ukraine right now. SPY trying to squeeze higher and trade into the hourly trigger. Here's where the old men are. This is where the target is up here. Close this gap and leave this gap behind. See if we can squeeze this up. We'll move this roll over until it's done. Sellers unable to get new lows, so we'll go to the upside now to the next point of resistance. Looking for the trade into the half-hour hourly trigger. Watch out for a big rejection off this number here. This is 550.43. Lots of traffic from here all the way up into this area above here. Lots of volatility. U.S. Trade Representative Greer saying, I have dozens of written offers on trade. Deals are some weeks out, but we're working on it. Squeeze higher, baby. Take me to 555 to a 0. Just a note, too, that we're trading 550 right now, last day of the month. One of the zeros. Ooh. Putin says he has no doubt that Russia's relations with Europe will be restored sooner or later. I don't disagree with that. What are they saying? What am I saying here? Don't want China's products unless they're fair.
Says one big beautiful bill may be bigger than tariffs.
See if Jake Sherman's got anything.
Protect your trades from macro headline risk with Financial Juice Pro.
What does this thing say?
$99 a year for our real-time service.
Ludnick, the attention on the Trump gold card. I mean, it makes me very popular. Last night I was out for dinner and somebody came up and said, "Can I buy 10?" And I'm like, "That's pretty good. That's 50 million for dinner, so it's paying for my dinner." What the fuck? Sorry, I'm reading this thing about the Trump gold card for the country. See this right here?
Trump says tax increase unsustainable if 2017 cuts are not extended.
Nick Timmeros is pushing books now. In a few minutes, guys. I'm just trying to read through some of this stuff here. And just to note that this 55.10 is the start of 2-day 56.05. Let me show you guys something here really quick. This is 2-day gamma for SPY. This is 55.10, which is right where we are, exactly where we are right now. We also have this 54.75 down below and this 54.50. Watch these two right here. And then we've got some more rolling of calls into Friday. 56.05 and 5600. So just note here that it matches pretty much this path right here. We'll hit this first 55.10 right here. Pull it back, even if we squeeze a little bit. Looking then for this 55.50 trade, and then this 55. I got 5600, but it would be 56.05, so slightly higher into Friday.
According to parliamentary website,
Just watch for the pullback over here to be tagging these next highs into the next 2 days.
Over registration of interest.
Yeah, this gold card. I just read your comments. Let me read to you some of these gold cards. So this is a direct quote here from Lutnick. Lutnick, should we play it?
So much as I travel around, the attention on the Trump gold card. I mean, it makes me very popular. Last night, I was out to dinner, and someone came up and said, can I buy 10? And how do I buy 10? And I'm like, it's pretty good. It's $50 million for dinner. So, you know, I was paying for my dinner. So much as
that's kind of weird. Some of the response to this was
Airbus CEO says that I do not expect US-China tariff conflict to have any immediate direct impact on Airbus.
Watch this green box right here will tell you if the roll starts. Some of the response to this commentary was, are these gold card purchases cataloged anywhere? Is it just a free-for-all that he is using to pay for whatever he likes? Dear Lord, the outright grifting is in plain sight. At least Spiro Agnew, I think he forgot to use the G in there, but it's Agnew, had a drawer to receive the bribes. My favorite one was, hold on. There's one in here that I thought was hilarious. I'll take things that never actually happened for 2,000, Alex.
Are still hold up the basements in Russia's Kursk region.
Is it even on anymore? I don't even know if this is on anymore. This thing on still? Oh, it's still on.
Congress passed because the last administration didn't get a farm bill done either. The farmers were hurting there, so Congress stepped in. I say all that and basically said $10 billion.
Here, we'll just...
Fastest in history.
Putin just saying radio intercepts suggest Ukrainian forces are asking for help to be evacuated.
So I'm really proud of that, and you'll hear a lot of that from the farmers today, that this USDA is moving more quickly. USDA is moving more quickly than any ever before, and we're not organizing money based on the color of skin and other ways, which was how the last administration was moving out. We have canceled $6 billion in contracts thanks to our great friend Elon Musk and his DoJ team. A lot of those were DEI, gender, studying transgender mice. Who knew? The racism in pest management. We've canceled all of it. We're going through a major restructuring. USDA is one of the biggest agencies. It's sort of a catch-all, and we're really downsizing and aligning around putting farmers first, which is really important. A big part of USDA though is food stamps. It is perhaps one of the largest, if not the largest, welfare program, and it's a supplemental nutrition program. Secretary Kennedy and I have been working very closely. We were in Texas yesterday talking about nutrition and agriculture. You can't make America healthy again without your farmers and your ranchers as your partner. So ensuring that our food stamp program and those at the bottom end of the socioeconomic ladder really have access to nutritious foods as we're facing an obesity crisis and a chronic disease crisis, which I'm sure Secretary Kennedy will touch on. And the final thing I'll say is this morning, Secretary Noem and I, together, and I brought a picture because I think this is important and it goes to why we're here. This is a South Dakota ranching family named the Mods. They are a fifth generation ranching family. Charles Mod, in his 30s, bought the ranch from his granddad, I'm going to show the press, when he was 17 years old. Those beautiful children, Lyle and Kennedy, his wife Heather. Under the Biden administration, they had, of their several hundred-acre operation, they used about 20 acres and had a fence that had been there since 1910 when their family took over the ranching operation. There had never been really any problem that had been brought to their attention. Perhaps there was a minor dispute over, again, 20 acres. This family was indicted, prosecuted, threatened with jail time, told to find guardians for their children over a fence line dispute that the Biden DOJ pushed forward. So this morning, on the steps of the U.S. Department of Agriculture with Secretary Noem, who was their governor, as the governor of South Dakota, which is where these great people are from, all criminal charges were dropped, and really appreciate the Department of Justice. It was a really big day as we sent the signal that the over-criminalization and using government, and you know this better than anyone because you were in the crosshairs for so long, that those days are over, and the regulation through prosecution is...
What the fuck is going on here?
And so this family is one of many that we'll now be talking to ensure that never happens again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please, Scott.
Sir, it's been a momentous 100 days with you at the helm, and I view this 100
Besson
days
says
as
Trump
setting
has
the
created
table
negotiating
for peace
leverage
deals,
and
trade
leadership.
deals, tax deals. So the next 100 days will be harvesting. You've created negotiating leverage and leadership. They're going to yield remarkable results. Energy costs have plummeted. Mortgage rates are down. Food costs are moving lower. And American families are finding their financial footing again. I had a group
Besson says that we're on the verge of becoming an AI
your leadership
superpower.
is on the verge of becoming an AI superpower. That our economy had become barbelled. We had high tech and finance on one side, natural resources led by energy, which the previous administration tried to kill on the other, and you're filling in between with precision manufacturing that we're going to be bringing.
What's wrong with my fucking whip?
Trade policies, good tax policies. the
Do you want to stay
under
up to date with the latest and
DoJ
be on the
at
bleeding edge of
Treasury
news
and the
for non-farm
IRS,
payrolls?
cost,
Then sign up
tech
today and
support,
get our
and
special
efficiency
offer
have
of Financial
increased.
Juice Pro for a
We
year's
have
worth of our
the
service
IRS
for the price of
revenues
1 month.
are up, and thanks to the young man sent over by DoJ, the IT update that began in 1990, which was begun before he was born, is going to be finished during your term. So trade, you couldn't make it up, trade, taxes, and deregulation, the one big beautiful bill under your leadership. Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune have done a great job, but they have you as the closer on many of their members. And I'll just close by saying economic security is national security is economic security, and it's never been better. We're rebuilding it, and as I said last week at the IMF and World Bank conferences, America First
Trump says
does not mean
President is
America
doing a great
alone.
job.
Under President Trump, it means leadership.
Man, well said.
Thank you. Are you busy enough? He's doing a great job.
Quebec Finance Minister says that
Mr. President, thank you.
don't see tariff
Thanks to the
on power
cabinet.
exports
So,
to the US.
at the risk of insulting everybody else at the table, I believe that I am the youngest member sitting at the table. And it occurred to me that from the time that I was born to the time that Donald J. Trump was inaugurated just a few months ago, we went from, again, 4 years, we went from the world's manufacturing superpower to one in which we depend on
that's
people's public
Quebec
China to make
Finance
things we need.
Minister
We went from the
of Iran
strongest military in the
speaking.
world to one in which we failed to meet our recruiting goals. And we went from one in which bipartisan border policy was the consensus of both Democrats and Republicans to one in which we allowed 20 million people to run roughshod illegally over the countryside, causing crime, causing a stress in the welfare system. And again, that happened over the lifetime of the youngest member of the cabinet. And what has happened in 100 days is that we've started to reverse every single one of those negative trends. And I think what it shows to me is that the president, and you sit in the Oval Office and you see these portraits of presidents past. And let's be honest, most of them have been placeholders. They've been people who have allowed their staff to sign executive orders with an auto pen instead of men of action. And the reason the media attacks this administration as chaotic is because the president is solving the problems the American people set about to solve. He's actually doing the things that he promised that he would do. And Mr. President, it's been an honor to be part of it for the past 100 days. And let me just make one other observation because it's
The airplane forming on the 1 in 5 minute trigger.
monitored it, I've looked at it, but the most underreported fact of the first 100 days is that we came in with a massive recruitment shortfall, and in 100 days of Secretary Hegseth and President Trump's leadership, we now have people breaking down the doors to join our military. To the media assembled here, it's a really interesting question. Why has that happened? Completely aside from the fact that I think it's a good thing, or I think
Are you guys hearing that feedback? Are you guys hearing that cracking?
from a military where people didn't want to serve to now all of a sudden they do want to serve. That's a story you guys should cover, but compared to that, how much time have you instead focused on the fact that we deported an MS-13 gang member with a valid deportation order, and why is it that the press is so focused on the fake BS rather than what's really going on?
You can't hear the cracking? Yeah.
I think that what we've shown, sir, is
I think it's from the broadcast.
a lot in 100 days, but you've also
Check.
revealed that too much of the American media.
Yeah, I think it's his mic too.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Pam?
President, your first 100 days has far exceeded that
I am not a couch fucker.
in this country.
I'm the youngest one here, but I'm not a couch fucker.
Thank you. Your directive to me was very simple: make America safe. And
Having problems with the website again this morning.
over 200 civil law.
Like I typed two keys and then it kicks me off the boxes.
Every one of you in this room in some capacity. I know you will not be arrested by the U.S. Marshals. Over 200 lawsuits, over 50 injunctions, and now we've got multiple cases in front of the Supreme Court, and we will succeed, and we are doing great in front of the Supreme Court, President, and we'll continue on with that. I was at DEA yesterday, and they said to me, you, Donald Trump, have taken the handcuffs off of DEA agents. And as a result of, since you have been in office, President Trump, your DOJ agencies have seized more than 22 million fentanyl pills, 3,400 kilos of fentanyl since you've been your last 100 days, which saved, are you ready for this, media? 258 million lives. Kids are dying.
Oh, is that Pam Bondi running that bullshit story?
Laced with something else. They don't know what.
We were going to, 150 million people were going to be dead.
And it's laced with fentanyl. And
Can't believe she's still running with that.
no longer because of you, what you've done.
150 million Americans are going to die like this week, bro.
Seized 14,500 guns off the streets.
Kind of like when they like bust you with marijuana and they're like, this dude had street value of $1 million in marijuana. How much was it? It was an ounce.
That's keeping America safe.
But if you roll pinners back in 1970,
We are now seeking the death penalty on cases. I'm sorry.
you would have had like
We are going after terrorism. We are going after arsonists. Whether you're burning Teslas, we will see. We've arrested 9 people so far in 7
this is insano listening to this crap.
20 years in prison, or you're burning down the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
We will be there to protect you. And I've been talking to Governor Shapiro, and he greatly appreciated
What is going on with this?
as well. ISIS terrorist, we got one in New York, right around the corner. We got an ISIS terrorist in New York. We have an October 7th task force. We just broke up a huge human trafficking ring by the Sinaloa cartel.
Just gonna create a bunch of crap that isn't there
Methamphetamine on our streets.
on our streets.
20,000 Molly pills. Those
What?
are the drug of choice among at clubs.
Molly's not a pill, it's a powder.
They were fake, but you know what they had in them? Fentanyl.
Fentanyl.
20,000 lives saved because of you. Right.
20,000, dude. Can you imagine 20,000 people dying of Molly pills like today?
And one killed the.
It'd be like fucking 10 World Trade Centers. Like,
His widow and his is now the judge. And they started crying. They have tried to get that guy back forever. And thanks to so many of you in this room working together, they have justice. They were crying.
you guys actually drink this shit up and believe it?
Thank you. We're going after anti-Semitism. We're unleashing everything you told us. No more DEI, no more weaponization. We have rescinded, as I said, 200 policies. And I could go on all day long.
I bet you could.
Everything in our power to keep America safe at your direction.
I'm feeling so much safer today.
Thank you, President.
You're really doing a great job. Thank you very much.
I didn't want to wake up tomorrow with 150 million dead Americans.
Nice to see
Bondi.
you, President. Well, first of all, I think what you've heard among
Do we even have grave sites for that many people?
the latitude really to collaborate amongst each other.
You saved us from the. You saved us.
Kind of get a break for a couple of hours here, but we stay in contact actually every other day that we're working for you. And I think what that says is I was speaking to, for instance, the Farm Bureau of Texas yesterday. I'm not the ag secretary, but it matters to the.
All right, Opland.
With, the other secretaries, Letnick and McMahon, on education and the workforce investments that you've asked me to do, because as you've come in and negotiated this great repatriation of these companies and the investments, we're going to need that work.
This stuff is.
And I couldn't see that more as I've kicked off my 50-state tour. We've been in 5 states so far.
Sorry, I had a thing shoved down my fucking esophagus.
What we're talking to
I had a big giant dick pushed down my throat Monday.
what the market.
Sorry for coughing.
That's the difference, that we finally have made that connection. What do they need? How quick do they need it? And how fast can I get these either?
I had a medical procedure Monday that's not doing well. I'm not doing well from it.
We've already added 80.
I'm getting some nausea right now. Give me like 5 seconds here.
So at the Department of Labor, that tour is kicked off, and I couldn't be more honored to be on the ground and see my colleagues that we're passing in the skies, but we're on the ground together because we're all collaborating together. One of the things that we're talking about.
Just note that we're starting to lose the island here. We're looking for, you know the drill, right? I don't need to show you this.
That if they continue to
Bam, 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 bam.
by treating unemployment benefits as a handout, they're going to
I gotta puke really quick. Just give me a second, guys.
continue to give unemployment insurance to illegal immigrants. And so I've let those governors, and I sent out that letter last week. We also eliminated discriminatory DEI offices within the department, specifically the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs. Most of our federal contracts were really just to focus on DEI enforcement. We were really punishing a lot of these companies. If they weren't compliant, they weren't going to have a federal contract. We've let go of that program completely. $4.4 billion in unspent COVID funds came back to the Treasury from the CARES Act. Billions we're collecting thus in these coffers, in the state coffers. We've asked for that money back to return to the Department of Treasury. We saved $250 million by canceling America Last, is what I call it, foreign handouts, including funding for things like transparency and accountability for Uzbekistan cotton industry. It doesn't make sense that we're funding, these foreign, and thank you to DoJ and to the government efficiency of what we have found with the fraud that we're seeing.
I mean, some of these things are so ridiculous, you can't believe it.
No, I write them down and I read them more
Uzbekistan
than once,
cotton
like this county
palmers.
should. Yeah, it doesn't
It
make
sounds like
sense.
a comedy sketch.
That's right. And so again, with the executive order, preparing Americans for high-paying, skilled trade jobs of the future, that's our goal. The trades is where we're being focused, but all companies, and we want to make sure we're on hand for that. And, what I want to say is thank you to government efficiency, because you asked us, when this transitions out, will our departments and our agencies continue that government efficiency? And I think that we surpassed that in the Department of Labor. Out of our 14,000 federal employees, 3,000 have taken the DRP, and we offered it again. So over 21% have taken that offer. And we'll keep our critical workforce, MSHA, OSHA, and wage and hour, and make sure our workers stay safe. So with your leadership, Mr. President, I couldn't be more honored to serve. I know we were probably the last to know each other, but we're getting to know each other well. And the team that you have assembled is really an honor to serve with. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. You're doing great. Thank you very much.
Like Bondi is coming out. The one thing she said,
Mr. President, you ran on unleashing American energy, and
she said something that was kind of key here.
that can arise from the unleashing you have enabled.
You like every admission is like an admission of guilt.
Oil, gasoline, and diesel prices are the lowest.
So she said we saved 150 million lives from being killed by fentanyl.
Pro energy.
She goes, then we took the Molly pills. We found the Molly pills.
The marketplace that supplies.
Those are bad too. She goes, well, those had fentanyl in them too. And I'm like, I already know what this is all about.
Tremendous
It's not about stopping drugs.
And we need not
It's
only
about stopping people that do cocaine from dying of fentanyl.
want to highlight.
There's like a huge difference here. We want our cocaine and our Molly, but we don't want to die of fentanyl is the real story.
Energy intensive.
I can't party with my friends if there's fentanyl on the drugs.
Not be the leader in AI. We must win the AI race and lead in that, and that's going to take a lot more energy. If you had not won election, we would not have won the AI race. Full stop. Energy would not have been there to enable us to win. Reshoring of manufacturing. These trillions of dollars you led off with, it's going to come back to our country to make chips, to make steel, to make automobiles, to make artificial intelligence, to make all of these industries we've outsourced. That's only going to be possible with way more American energy.
We already tried this in the 70s.
We have those resources, we have those businesses, we have those capitalists. We just need to stop standing in the way of them and follow the lead you've set.
American cars we had the shittiest cars in the world
To enable them to
because of that,
American money.
because of protectionism.
Regarding our balance of trade, the second largest export of the United States is liquefied natural gas. Second fastest. In the next few years, it'll be our largest export in our country. But yet, 18 months ago, the Biden administration had said, we're going to stop issuing permits for new LNG export terminals. That's just nuts. That's a great competitive advantage we have, huge balance of trade driver, a huge industry just coiled and ready to go. I just came back from Poland last night. They are thrilled that America's back in business again and that the rest of Europe can get off of Russian energy and can enable their own economic growth with secure, reliable, affordable energy from the United States. Also witnessed the signing ceremony for a deal between two large American businesses to build a huge nuclear power plant in northeastern Poland. The first of this design built in Europe. It'll be the first of many. I spoke with many other nations over there. They want to buy more American gas. They want to get American technology. They want to have a partnership with us. And they shared the message I delivered to Europe in my keynote remarks is that unleashing energy is the way you make your society safer, more prosperous, more free, and that these sort of over-the-top climate alarmism doesn't do anything to help the environment of our world, but it does impoverish people, it does reduce the security of your nation, and it makes you weaker. I think that's a constant message many of us around this table have brought to Europe. We want our friends in Europe standing up again and leaning in. A lot great is happening under your leadership. We're unleashing consumer products that Americans wanted to buy that Biden was making illegal. I'll be in Georgia on Friday at Renai's manufacturing plant. Tankless natural gas water heaters. Incredibly popular product. They almost became illegal. The return of common sense is incredibly welcome across this country, across the world. And
Ford CEO to delay vehicle price hikes to see what rivals do. Ford CEO says companies should get government credit for export. Ford CEO Jim Farley speaking to reporters.
Smaller departments and smaller services, better, more thoughtful services, done more efficiently and smarter. The way you'd have to run a business. We've got to get our fiscal house in order, and you and the people around
Ford CEO says a lot more work to do on tariffs.
Mr. President, I'm honored to be here.
Great job. Thank you very much. Please.
Yes, Mr. President, you are 100% correct. The border is 99.99% safe, under control. You have completely reversed the entire situation. In fact, the day before yesterday, I was down in El Paso, and those Border Patrol agents are so impacted by how you have changed things in a year. They have put up huge pictures that say, under the Biden administration,
do you want to stay up to date with the latest and be on the bleeding edge of news for non-farm payrolls? Then sign up today and get our special offer of Financial Juice Pro for a year's worth of our service for the price of 1 month and save 92%.
And this is what the Trump administration looks like. It's peaceful. People who do business between Mexico and America are coming through. They're doing it legally. They're following the law, and it's all because of what you've done and what you've empowered them to do. The recruitment for Border Patrol is through the roof. For ICE agents, they want to be a part of ICE because they recognize they actually get to do their jobs. I have the Coast Guard too. Coast Guard recruitment is up over 20% just in the last 60 days. Everybody wants to be a part of what the heritage is of this country. We've repositioned the entire Coast Guard fleet to focus on border and drug interdiction. As we've secured the border, the cartels have gone to the water and are going out in maritime waters to move their drugs into this country. The Coast Guard just in the last 2 months has taken into custody over 126 tons of cocaine, millions of doses of fentanyl. It's just amazing. And the aliens that they are deporting is incredible too. We've been working with all of them. The one thing that I want to point out is the fake news has been saying that Biden deported more people than you. And it's an absolute lie. And they're letting the Biden administration get away with manipulating and cooking the books. What they're counting for the Biden administration is every single person that came to that border that they processed and let into this country. They're allowing Biden to say that was a deportation, just by processing somebody and letting them come into the country. It's absolutely false. It's not true at all. You have deported over 250 known terrorists. You've deported thousands of foreign terrorist organization members and gang members, hundreds of thousands of people that were in this country illegally. We've collected $30 billion worth of tariffs through CBP, and we've also collected millions and millions, hundreds of millions of fines and penalties from people that have overstayed here in this country. So I just want to thank you. You've been a game changer. I want to thank Pete for his leadership at DoD and what they've done. I want to thank Marco for his diplomacy and getting us travel documents into these countries. Mexico has finally come to the table and now is going to take a lot more people that we're able to send back to that country. And the president of Mexico told me, sir, she turned around over 500,000 people in Mexico before they ever reached our border. We should be counting those as deportations because they never even made it to the border because she turned them around because you forced her to. So those are all people that never even came here because they got the message because you were so aggressive. So thank you for what you're doing. And every day we get to get up and do jobs that matter, and we appreciate
Tom
that.
Holm is doing a great job.
Oh, yeah, Tom's a great messenger for us. He just,
Great.
yeah, he's hardcore. Yeah,
Good job.
thank you.
He is hardcore.
Yeah, he is.
No question about it. Kelly?
Mr. President, it's such an honor to serve in this administration, and on behalf of Main Street America, for our 34 million small businesses that make up 99% of all businesses in this great nation, I have to tell you, under your leadership, Main Street is open for business again. They're thriving and they're investing. And the data that we have at the Small Business Administration, the loans that we're putting out, a record 26,000 loans in your first 100 days means that 2,000 small businesses each week are receiving that funding, that investment in the future. Small businesses create 2 out of every 3 new jobs. in this country, and we've already seen under your leadership, the jobs economy is back, manufacturing jobs are back. We've seen a 38% increase in manufacturing loans. We put out 1,500 manufacturing loans in your first 100 days. We saw startups increase by 54%, and we saw businesses under 5 people increase by 95%. So your leadership on the economy matters to every region of this great nation. I'll tell you on the manufacturing front, I'm not on a national manufacturing tour. We've met with 250 manufacturers, and as I walk through the factory floors, they all ask me to thank you for fighting for their jobs, for these industries, and for the people who are creating things from pharmaceuticals to aerospace, to food, and all these essentials that this nation needs to be independent and strong. And to that end, I'm working with Congress. We'll be announcing tomorrow an upsizing of our manufacturing loans to make sure that that economic engine, because 98% of all manufacturers are small businesses. It's incredible to walk through these factories that are really creating what you had in your first administration, the blue collar boom. It's now a new collar boom because it's the intersection of technology and manufacturing and what they can create for our war fighters, for our aerospace, for pharmaceuticals, with less than 300 to 500 employees, sometimes 100 employees. I was at a factory in Georgia on Monday that is creating machines to help with the Iron Dome in Israel. Less than 50 employees. This is the engine of our economy. It's the heartbeat of our communities. It's the small businesses that helped elect you because they needed your economic agenda. So thank you, Mr. President. It's such an honor, and congratulations on an epic 100 days. I do have to thank Elon. I do want to note, we just cut $3 billion in contracts because of DoJ's work. That's $3 billion that hardworking families that won't have to work until April 15th to pay for the waste, fraud, and abuse that we continue to find in this government on behalf of taxpayers. So again, thank you, Elon.
Thank you. Great job, Kelly. Thank you very much. Elon, I love the double hat, by the way.
Yeah.
He's the only one that can do that. And get away with it.
Well, Mr. President, you know, they say I wear a lot of hats. And as you can see, it's true. Even my hat has a hat. You know, the American people voted for secure borders, safe cities, and sensible spending. And that's what they've gotten. A tremendous amount has been accomplished in the first 100 days. As everyone has said, it's more than has been accomplished in any administration before, ever, period. This portends very well for what will happen for the rest of the administration. I think this could be the greatest administration since the founding of the country.
Well, we all want to thank you for your help. You really have sacrificed a lot. Been treated very unfairly.
Well, they do like to run my cars, which is not great. You know, could be better.
But you have been treated unfairly. But the vast majority of people in this country really respect and appreciate you, and this whole room can say that very strongly. You've really been a tremendous help. You opened up a lot of eyes as to what could be done. And we just want to thank you very much.
Trump says that Musk has been a tremendous help.
You're invited to stay as long as you want. At some point, I guess, he wants to get back home to his car.
And Musk is invited to stay as long as he wants. Saying Musk wants to get back home to his cars.
$150 billion. Think of that.
Yeah. 160 now.
Yeah, 160. They said, oh, it could have been more. And a lot of stuff is being worked on. That number could be doubled and even tripled. A lot of things are being worked on that we don't count yet because it's not quite there. But you've done a fantastic job, and we appreciate it very much, Elon. You know
thank you. And it's also an honor to work with your incredible cabinet. I just like to say thank you, everyone. It's great to work with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. President, congratulations on this truly historic first 100 days of your administration, really only made possible by your focused leadership on delivering the mandate the American people gave you. You've empowered all of us to deliver that mandate, and I'm grateful to have the privilege of leading the intelligence community towards ending the weaponization, politicization of the intelligence community that's gone on for far too long. And building out what is truly a lean and agile and effective intelligence community that is helping you deliver that promise to the American people of safety, security, and freedom. So, Mr. President, I'd like to highlight just 3 of the areas where we are helping to support your leadership and your work in making America safe again and bringing about these changes. First of all, because of your designation of cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, I took immediate action with our National Counterterrorism Center to prioritize their focus on those terrorists and gang members who are trying to enter our country through legal or
SPY showing bullishness here with another hold. No trade all the way, no trade down to 545. Still holding on here.
Strict checks in EU deforestation
very
law.
closely with
Demand still present.
Attorney General's team at the DEA to get these known cartels into our systems to be able to stop them at the border and turning over names to
EU nations are to vote on
Security,
classification criteria
and the
May
FBI
12th.
to be able to find those who are already here in our country. Just the other day, we found 700 alien terrorists who have ties to MS-13, Tren de Aragua, and the Sinaloa cartel. Just yesterday, our NCTC identified almost 600 individuals with ties to other terrorists who came through our borders illegally, claimed asylum, and under the Biden administration were paroled here within our borders. Secondly, Mr. President, like too many organizations in the federal government, the ODNI has become very bloated with too much waste and abuse going on within the organization. We've done a few immediate steps. We are doing more. The ODNI is 25% smaller and more lean today than it was when I walked in the door and when you took office. Secondly, we have just this morning actually shut down a human capital office. As soon as you issued the executive order to stop all DEI activities, we did that, shut down the DEI office. We discovered this human capital office that was essentially a slush fund for DEI initiatives, hidden under the guise of human capital, that closed down this morning, saving taxpayers $150 million. We'll soon be announcing an additional $2.6 billion in savings with other programs and contracts that do nothing to ensure our national security interests. And lastly, we're working every day to hold the deep state accountable, to end the politicization, weaponization of the intelligence community. This past week, I sent 3 criminal referrals for illegal and unauthorized leaks to the media of classified intelligence for prosecution. We have 11 more that are under investigation. We've revoked, at your direction, 67 security clearances, and we continue the work of declassifying documents, as we have already around JFK assassination. We have more coming for the assassination of Bobby's father, Senator Kennedy, and MLK assassination. And we continue our extensive investigations around exposing the very serious issues we have related to election integrity, illegal abuses of FISA, Crossfire Hurricane, and others. Mr. President, under your leadership, we are working every day to bring about that transparency and accountability that the American people deserve. So thank you for the opportunity.
Great job. Thank you very much. Lee?
Mr. President, at the Biden EPA, the Green New Deal was raging. At the Biden EPA, we saw billions of tax dollars burning. At the Biden EPA, we saw industries suffocate. But at the Trump EPA, the Green New Deal is dead. At the Trump EPA, we know that we can both protect the environment and grow the economy. At 13 pages of accomplishments from our first 100 days in here, and in it, part of it is 100 environmental accomplishments at the Trump EPA. You don't have to take my word for it. We released it to the media this morning. Every single day that President Trump is in this office, there will be a major environmental accomplishment. Every single day of the Trump administration. At the Trump EPA, we're also launching what is the largest deregulatory action in the history of the country. We're going to be giving our director of the OMB
Squeeze still alive here.
because we inherited a big mess from the Biden EPA.
We broke above the target right here.
I've canceled now $22 billion
This is gone.
worth of grants. Now today is a special day for many reasons. The biggest reason why we're here is that this is the 100th day of the most consequential, historic first 100 days in the history of this country. Today, while we're here, the House of Representatives...
A nice 5-minute trade here.
Congressional Review Act bills, considering the EPA waivers that were given to California's tailpipe emissions, where California set their own standards. But there should be one national standard, and right now, Congress, on the House side, is going to be voting on that today. On a personal note, while this is a bit outside of the EPA jurisdiction, today is my last day serving in the United States Army. And I first signed up towards the end of the 90s. And I've had a chance to see a lot of national security teams over the course of the last 27 years. There has never been a national security team ever assembled that had the backs of our warriors like this national security team right now. And we have never had a president so deeply committed towards ending foreign wars instead of starting new ones. There's a reason, Mr. Vice President, why everyone is racing to join our Department of Defense. We have a Secretary of Defense who, with all due respect to our great president, would probably rather be swimming with Navy SEALs right now, be running somewhere in the Middle East with our service members. And from our Secretary of Defense to our Secretary of State, our Vice President, and more. I just want to say thank you as a veteran of our military for assembling what is the greatest national security team that I have ever seen in my 27 years associated with the United States Army.
Has Pete signed off on this retirement leave? Is that...
Welcome to the end. Maybe.
Thank you for your service, Lee.
Yeah, thank you. Really, you're doing a fantastic job. We appreciate it very much. So?
Well, Mr. President, I don't think I have ever worked so hard to try to fire myself. We're certainly making great strides in that. We've reduced the folks over at the Department of Education by about 50% now through our RIF program, and so we've closed a lot of the district offices, consolidated, so there are a lot fewer people working a lot more efficiently in the Department of Education. The commissioners of education in every state, and I was at a meeting with them not too long ago for not only our states but our territories. They are thrilled with the opportunity now to be able to have more control over the education in their states, to get rid of a lot of the red tape and regulation that's kept them from doing what they're doing. So we're seeing, I think, great improvements. We'll see test scores, I believe. It'll take a bit for them to be able to go up, but I think now that they're going to have the opportunity to put in their own programs, we'll see that grow. At the same time, we've been focused on higher education for our universities. We've returned proper enforcement of Title IX protections to schools. We have stopped funding to Columbia, for instance, and some other schools for not only Title IX but Title VI infractions. And those are moving along. I think we've brought people to the table. They know that you are serious. You meant what you said. They're going to make changes. They're making their campuses safer again. Anti-Semitism was just out of control in many of our universities. And so some tried to, in fact, Harvard is sued, and they're saying that it's, First Amendment infraction. No, this is civil rights, safety on our campuses for our young students, who are there. And with Pam's help and the task force that we formed with HHS, with GSA, with other agencies, we're going to make sure that our campuses are safe. And so there's a lot of good work going on. I think one of the biggest things, you'll be very happy to hear this, Mr. Vogt, that we are putting back into place collecting on our student loans that have been delinquent since March of 2020. There's been no effort to recollect on those loans. So as of May 5th, the letter goes out that the loan recollection is beginning again. So for those people who have borrowed money and who have not been paying, that's just not to be punitive. There are many ways that they can go online to understand how they can get back into the right payment structure, because when they're in default, they can't buy a house, they can't buy a car because their credit scores are down. So it's helpful to them as well as to get this money back into the country. I mean, $60 billion of increased student loan debt since 2020. And in total, we've got almost $1.7 trillion in student debt. So we're gonna start getting it back. And Scott and his team have been incredibly helpful. We appreciate that so very, very much. And so a lot's going on in the department. And what I would really like, as I'm firing myself, I'd like for you to be known as the education president, because of the best in practice systems that we want to put in every state to incorporate AI, so that we are training these new entrepreneurs and business leaders in our country. We can't do it with the infrastructure we have in place today, so we have to be working on that at the same time. So we're going to be doing that. So thank you for your charge to elevate education, so that we are providing for every student access to excellent education. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Linda. And what's going on with Harvard and some of these colleges that are taking vast amounts of money, who also have vast amounts? They've got $52 billion, and really scamming the public and hiring people like de Blasio and Lori Lightfoot, who are certainly two of the worst mayors in the history of our country, paying them a fortune of salary and having them teach our children how to manage cities and how to manage government. What's the word as of this morning on, let's say, Harvard?
Well, we're negotiating with them. When we went back to them to say we welcome them back to the negotiating table, their response was a lawsuit. So Pam and her team are helping work with that. And I am, enjoying the fact not only am I firing myself, but I'm now being sued fairly regularly by different departments of education. But we're staying tough with them. The other thing that we're looking at also are the 117 violations of these big universities like Harvard and others, who are not reporting, as they're required to do by law, foreign money that comes in and how much that is and where it comes from. And so that is
Students.
Yeah, and it's very serious.
Where are these people coming from?
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
sir, we pulled back their grants because Harvard isn't responding to us, criminal activity by their students. And until they give us that list, they're not getting any more grants from Homeland
Good.
Security.
I think you should pull it back.
We did.
The students they have, the professors they have, the attitude they have is not American, and I think you should. A grant is a grant. We don't have to give grants.
Exactly right.
So we'll pull back the grant. All right, very good. Thank you very much, Linda. Bobby?
Mr. President, thank you for your extraordinary leadership. Over the past 100 days, we are already making America healthy again.
Yeah.
Announced last week the ban
Oh yeah, you are.
of synthetic dyes, food dyes.
We're getting rid of
2 years. Within 2 months.
Airbus says US assembly lines are exposed to 10%
We
tariff.
don't want anybody having any of those. We don't want anybody
Dietary guidelines that the Trump.
What are those things called for fentanyl overdoses?
453 pages.
Making America healthy again. They're doing fent. They're gonna die doing it.
Same kind of politicized science that drove Fruit Loops to the top of the food pyramid. And we're going to do real science, gold standard science. We're going to develop we have till December to do it, but we are working very, very fast together. We're going to get it
ECB's
done
McClure says price risks are less clear in the medium term than near.
Major dramatic changes in the school food, the school lunch programs over the next year.
Whatever that fent drug is from people overdose, they canceled that, I think, yesterday.
With Secretary Rollins on the SNAP program and the
Sorry, I gotta do a snip here. I need to delete some of that crap.
and candy off of the food stamp program. 10% of food stamps go to SNAP. And I want to thank you for your courage. You are a business-friendly president, probably the most business-friendly in our history, but you're also willing to stand up to very, very powerful businesses, and you've shown that again and again.
Protect your trade from macro headline rate. Do you want to stay up to date with the latest and be on the bleeding edge of news for non-farm payrolls? Then sign up today and get our special offer of Financial Juice Pro for a year's worth of our service for the price of 1 month.
There is no nutrition
92%.
in a soda. And they said, well, it's not supposed to be about nutrition. And she said to them, the name of the program is supplemental nutrition. It is about nutrition. And we should, we have 38% of our kids are diabetic or pre-diabetic, and we are paying at both ends. We're paying for the food-like substances that make them diabetic, and then we're being bankrupt. We're spending $1 trillion a year on
This guy was a heroin junkie. Did you guys know that?
It's existential and it's not sustainable. We have, I visited Arizona, West Virginia, Utah, and Indiana in the last 2 weeks, who have all applied for SNAP waivers. We're encouraging, thanks to Brooke Rollins' leadership, all of the states to apply for those waivers. I also visited Utah, which is the first state to ban supplemental.
Spoo's trying to regain S1 up here. I still have us returning to the downside, but there can be an argument made for that whole. Oh, there's the old DBs. I deleted that too.
Working together to change the federal fluoride regulations, to change the recommendations, and we're looking at the science now. I want to point out that in August, the National Toxicity Program, which was an arm of the NIH, did a meta-review of all the science on fluoride and found that there's a direct inverse correlation between fluoride exposure and low IQ in children. So the more you get, the stupider you are. And we need smart kids in this country, and we need healthy kids, and thank you for your leadership. We're going to get there. We're reviewing the GRAS standards now we're revamping them to get 10,000 ingredients that are in our foods. The Europeans only have 400 ingredients. We have 10,000. There are chemicals we know nothing about. And we are going to stop that process, and then we're going to go back and look at these chemicals and make the companies either get rid of them or to label them. We've launched Operation Storage Speed, and we're going full speed ahead to make sure that we have good, high-quality milk for children. We have launched the autism study at your direction. By September, we'll have some of the first answers. Within 6 months of that, we will have definitive answers, not only for autism, but for the etiology of a whole range of autoimmune diseases that have become epidemic in our children. We have ended HHS as the role as the vector, the principal vector in this country for child trafficking. And during the Biden administration, HHS became a collaborator in child trafficking and for sex and for slavery. And we have ended that, and we're very aggressively going out and trying to find these children, the 300,000 children that were lost by the Biden administration. And we have ended funding for gender mutilation surgeries and other kind of gender dysphoria practices. And thanks to Elon, we have saved $67 billion at our agency without compromising any of our critical programs. Mr. President, I want to thank you for your vision, for your leadership, for giving me the 100 busiest days of my life, and most exciting and most rewarding. And there's, over the next 100 days, we're going to do much, much more.
That's great. Thank you very much, Mark. Very good, very important. Thank you. Doug, please.
Well, President Trump, on your first day in office, you wisely declared a national energy emergency. And this was essential because it was the signal that we're going to go 180 degrees from the disastrous and dangerous Biden policies that were based on a climate ideology that was the root cause of the inflation in this country. It was the root cause of wars abroad. It was the root cause of our manufacturing disappearing from our country. We can't have energy security. Without energy security, we can't have national security, and you understood that. But now with everything that's flowed from that, dozens of other EOs that you've done, America is back in the energy business. As Chris said, there's been a signal that's sent around the world. Capital is flowing, coming back in. The smart money is coming to this country, and now you've given us a chance.
I'm going to do a...
We know we're up against a formidable competitor. China opened up 94 gigawatts of coal in the last year. That's more than...
Should I go somewhere else and do this? Maybe this would be a perfect day to do this. Let me see if I can do this here. I don't know if I can.
Again, under this climate ideology.
Can I do this right now today? I wanted to do it on Monday.
I'll never stand standing in the East Room with you, surrounded
I don't know if I can do this here.
around this country, where you said, "Hey, big beautiful coal." As we work to try to identify the balance sheet of America, our earliest estimate is that the coal
I'd have to share that, wouldn't I?
on public lands could be worth $8 trillion with a T. That was all going to be taken.
Still haven't figured out how to do this. Yeah, it sucks. Like TradingView.
1,800 feet underground. And
If I try to log in from a second computer, TradingView logs me off.
metallurgical coal. Without
So douchey.
this is a plant. This is a plant that would have been in a mining operation that would have been shut
I
down.
need to find a way to do this.
What we're doing here, back in the business, we're doing leasing. We're leasing for oil and gas. We're leasing for timber with Brooke Rollins. We're leasing for grazing. We're
Give me I think I'm going to take a mid-afternoon break here.
public lands appropriately and by the law.
I think I'm going to stop the show and make it private.
We're helping strengthen America.
I still haven't figured out how to like run the show and then do a separate show. Like every time I try to do this, I run into issues. My big issue right now is
It's public, the 700 million of subsurface, the 2.5 billion off.
my biggest issue here is
To have self-sufficient supply chains. And so in this, we're focused deeply on
can't like open this on a second computer unless I'd have to share the chart, wouldn't I? I would think I would have to.
the whole cabinet,
I'm going to end the stream really quick and come back on in an hour.
National Energy Dominance Council, but of the top
It's 1:07 in the afternoon.
for defense.
I'll be back at 2 p.m. I'm going to